Chapter 629. Woo-woo, Yin Lang suddenly let out a cry. Yihua let out a deep sigh. These two are really stupid. After drinking a cup of wine, Yihua returned to Voidless Realm. The children still need me to teach them. 5 years later, the children will also have to carry my banner. However, even after 5 years, Yin was still only 5 years old. A 5-year-old kid was going to be thrown into the outside world by his father to train. Thinking about it, it was really pitiful. When Do Fusher woke up, he was stupefied. Looking at his surroundings, his honor had already left. I feel that my life has lost its color. His honor actually told me to go and protect a demoness. Is he joking with me? Standing up, Do Fusher saw that Blood Demon was carefully wiping the glass. That focused look made Do Fusher's scalp go numb. Brother Blood Demon, can I have a glass of wine? Do Fusher sighed softly. Why was he given such a mission every single time? It was the kind that no one wanted to accept. Blood Devil glanced at Do Fusher and lightly said, "Pay up." It can't be. Brother Blood Demon, we're a team after all. Floating Do couldn't believe it. They were a team, so why did they have to collect money? Blood Demon said in a deep voice, "This is His Honor's order. Even if His Honor's wife wants to drink wine, she needs to pay for it." Floating World. Does His Honor lack money that much? Do Fusher suddenly thought of a good idea. I don't know if bribing His Honor will work or not. I can try it another day. Forget it, I'll go complete the quest. Do Fusher said in a low voice. One mustn't be careless when it comes to the task that His Honor has given to them. If they don't complete the task, it's very likely that they will be kicked out by His Honor. I, Do Fusher, am also a man who wants face. How can I disappoint His Honor's order? Walking out of Leisure Bar, Do Fusher arrived at the side of the street. He sat in his 90s Santana and took out his phone. He only needed to watch the news to know where the demoness was. After searching for a while, Do Fusher had already confirmed her whereabouts. She was killing men in Nanyang City. How terrifying. Furthermore, when he saw the picture of the female devil, Do Fusher felt as though he had seen it somewhere before. He suddenly recalled that day. He divined that he was going to die. Could it be because of this? That was close. I almost died. It seemed that the rumors on the internet were right. This female devil only killed men with girlfriends. Do Fusher unhurriedly started the Santana under his butt, and a cloud of black mist emerged from his butt. Then there was a dong 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 sound a little like a tractor. When they arrived at Nanyang City, it was already night time. Do Fusher first went to eat egg fried rice and a basket of steamed dumplings to fill his stomach. After everything was prepared, he went to find the demoness. After experiencing the strength of his body, Do Fusher felt as if he had been reborn. Flying to the sky was not that strenuous, and he could even jump from one place to another. Then why did I drive here just now? I was so stupid. Do Fusher was jumping around with a look of curiosity on his face. Of course, there was also excitement. Who would have thought that his big brother's big brother would impart such a powerful technique to him? Thank you, Your Honor, for your great kindness. I, Do Fusher, will do my utmost until the day I die. I will definitely protect little big sister well, and not let her suffer even a bit of harm. However, at this time, outside the suburbs of Nanyang City, Drifting Soul was ambushed. To be more precise, it was the poison that came from the ancient times. It was terrifying. In order to get rid of this departed soul, Qing Tiandi had put in quite a bit of effort, but he was still nowhere to be found. The Righteous Alliance led by Wang Debao and Bai Cixin were present. At this moment, Li Hun had been temporarily sealed by the primordial celestial artifact, and there were various scars on her body. Her originally beautiful lips had turned black, and her entire body was emitting an aura of death. If he hadn't been poisoned beforehand, how could he have been sealed by an ancient divine artifact? That milk tea woman was so vicious. I detach my soul to kill stinky men for you. And you women actually bite the hand that feeds you. Wang Debao looked at the trapped Li Hun and said in a deep voice, Honey, this woman can't be killed even with an ancient divine artifact. Bai Cixin was also very surprised. He was first poisoned by the ancient divine weapon, and now he was trapped by the ancient divine weapon, but he was still alive. It was still healing, and it wouldn't take long for him to recover. as expected of someone who had reincarnated. He was indeed very strong. Qing Tiandi still wants to live. Seems like he won't be able to. Bai Cixin let out a light sigh. Qing Tiandi wanted to subdue this woman. After all, he was currently lacking fighters, and this woman's strength was very strong. Of course, Qing Tiandi also said that if he really couldn't do it, then he would just kill her. Wang Debao felt that he could still fight for one last time. And he shouted out to Li Hun, "As long as you obey us, we will let you go." A green cauldron could be seen floating above Li Hun's head, and the cauldron was emitting a terrifying aura. A brilliant golden cage had trapped Li Hun, and numerous golden whips were currently lashing Li Hun's body. Every time one of the whips lashed, an astonishing airwave would be emitted. However, Li Hun's expression didn't change at all, and even though she was poisoned, she still persisted. "Humph. Stinky man. Wait for me to come out, I will kill you first." Li Hun slowly raised her head and stared fixedly at Wang Debao. Wang Debao didn't doubt that this woman indeed had the strength to kill him. The difference in strength was too big. "Stop trying to persuade me, it's useless." Bai Cixin's beautiful eyes turned cold, and a spear appeared in her hands. When the spear appeared, thunder and lightning rumbled, and the sound of thunder resounded throughout the world. Electric currents could be seen flickering around the spear, and the subordinates standing behind Bai Cixin could clearly feel that the spear was different from the others. It turns out that the Justice and Order Alliance is so powerful that they can even subdue this demoness. When Li Hun saw the spear in Bai Cixin's hands, her gaze became a bit serious. "Demonic woman, I am going to ask you one last time." Without waiting for Bai Cixin to finish speaking, Li Hun snorted coldly, "Sooner or later, you will die in a man's hands." "Fine. Then, I will let this Godslayer send you back." Bai Cixin shouted as she raised the Godslayer high in the air with her right hand and threw it out. When the Godslayer flew out, the white electric currents seemed like they were going to run through the ground, and the dazzling light caused everyone to close their eyes. Li Hun really wanted to struggle free, but the ancient godly weapon's poison seemed to have been specially made for her, and coupled with the pressure from the cauldron above her head, she wasn't able to struggle free in a short period of time. As for this Godslayer, puff! Without any suspense, the Godslayer pierced through Li Hun's body, and a big hole appeared in Li Hun's lower abdomen. This was the effect of a chain reaction. As long as the ancient godly weapon was used correctly, it was entirely possible to kill a powerful expert. Just like Li Hun, if she wasn't poisoned, she wouldn't have been suppressed by the cauldron, and if she wasn't suppressed by the cauldron, she wouldn't have been pierced through by the Godslayer. Li Hun immediately spurted out a large amount of blood, and the blood flowing out of her lower abdomen was even more so. Li Hun's entire body instantly became a lot more listless, and the color on her face also became less and less. Chapter 630. The followers cheered when they saw the female devil's appearance. The Justice and Order Alliance once again defended the justice of the world. At this moment, two figures landed. Space-time branch is taking over. Wang Debao and Bai Cixin furrowed their brows slightly when they saw the two of them land on the ground. They had heard of the space-time branch from Qing Tian. Xiaoyi used to be a field agent of the space-time branch, so he knew what the space-time branch was in charge of. It was to catch those who had been reborn. But, King want to catch me? Why didn't you show up before? Now that I'm beaten half to death, you're shameless to the extreme. The followers behind them were confused. It was the first time they heard about the space-time branch. Wang Debao looked at the two. One of them was obviously the boss. He had an imposing appearance, long hair, and a mole under the corner of his mouth. Wang Debao was relieved. She wasn't as handsome as him. The mole had played the role of finishing touch, and ruined her entire face. The one next to him was not bad looking. He was Wu Lu, Xiaoyi's former boss. The other one with the mole was the director of the space-time branch. Shi Zhengao, Director Shi. Why did they appear at this time? Just as Wang Debao had guessed, they were beaten to this state. Such a powerful woman couldn't be touched by the space-time branch. They could only monitor her a little. But now they didn't need to monitor her. They could just turn on the phone and know where she was. This woman was too arrogant. You can go now. Wu Lu took a step forward and said to Bai Cixin and Wang Debao expressionlessly. It was as if he was the boss here. Before Bai Cixin could speak, the brothers of the Justice and Order Alliance disagreed. Fuck, who are you? Let us go. Who do you think you are? What bullshit spacetime branch? I have never heard of it. Shi Zhengao's face didn't change. He stood with his hands behind his back. It was as if nothing could make him emotional. Wu Lu couldn't be like this. His face darkened. A huge surge of spiritual energy suddenly spread out. He waved his hand in the air. A huge astral wind engulfed the underlings and sent them flying. How dare you? How dare you shout in front of the chief? Wu Lu angrily shouted. If it wasn't for the rules, he would have killed these people. Bai Cixin and Wang Debao stood firmly on their feet. If both of them were sent flying, it would really be embarrassing. Shi Zhenghao suddenly patted Wu Liu on the shoulder. Don't be so angry. It's not good to scare the children. Wu Lu respectfully lowered his head and retreated behind Shi Zhenghao. You must be the boss of the Justice Alliance. Let me introduce myself. I am the director of the Spacetime Branch, Shi Zhenghao. We have been keeping an eye on this fugitive for a long time. We planned to arrest her tonight, but we didn't expect something like this to happen. Shi Zhenghao's words sounded good. At least to Bai Cixin and Wang Debao, he had given them enough face. But Wang Debao did not look too good. Shi Zhenghao, why was this name so unique? Could it be very high in history? Why not call him Shi Zhenchang? Because Wang Debao had to hold back his laughter. His face looked very twisted, as if he was about to hit someone. When Wang Debao saw Wang Debao's expression, it seemed like they were about to make a move. Right at this moment, Li Hun snorted coldly. Do you really think that you can kill us like this? Wishful thinking. You damned men. I will use your blood to wipe my shoes later on. Shi Zhenghao wrinkled his brows and stretched out his index finger. Bang! A green ray of light shot out from his finger and directly penetrated through Li Hun's right shoulder. Li Hun, who was already heavily injured, once again received another injury. Shi Zhenghao said lightly, You still haven't realized your current situation. Despicable. Li Hun shouted out weakly. Another green ray of light shot out from Shi Zhenghao's finger and penetrated through Li Hun's left shoulder as well. At first glance, both of Li Hun's arms were hanging down powerlessly. But even after receiving such a heavy injury, Li Hun did not make any sound. From this, it could be seen just how strong this woman's willpower was. In actuality, Li Hun just didn't want to show her weakness in front of that stinky man. In the past, it was precisely because of this that she was killed by that pair of adulterers. Never again. Shi Zhenghao's action slightly shocked Bai Cixin and Wang Debao. The director of this spacetime branch was indeed very powerful. Even they had to use an ancient artifact to hurt Li Hun. But this director could do it so easily. Could it be that what he said was true? What happened tonight was just a coincidence. In fact, it was not. If Li Hun was at full strength, Shi Zhenghao would not be able to do anything. Although he could fight with Li Hun, it would be a great risk for him. Shi Zhenghao would not put himself in danger, nor would he do something that he was not confident about. In the end, it was just that he couldn't beat Li Hun. But when Li Hun was injured, Shi Zhenghao could completely suppress her, so it could be said that Shi Zhenghao was still capable of hurting Li Hun. Just like just now. Bai Cixin was also thinking about a problem now. This woman was very useful to the Justice and Order Alliance, even if she was a corpse. If such a news spread, the Justice and Order Alliance's status would rise to a higher level. After all, this woman had killed so many people, which had already caused public anger. If she handed it over just like that, Bai Cixin would be unwilling. Besides, there were so many people watching. Once she handed it over, where would she put her face? Director Shi, you also know that this woman has killed a lot of people this month. I have to answer to everyone, Bai Cixin said in a sweet voice. This credit was obtained by her and her husband risking their lives. How could he just take her away just because he wanted her? How was that possible? Shi Zhenghao did not refute and agreed. Indeed, the appearance of this woman has caused a lot of losses. So, it doesn't seem appropriate for me to hand it over to you just like that. Bai Cixin was not afraid of this director. She had an ancient artifact in her hands, and with her husband's strength she could still fight them. If God supporting heaven and earth came, the situation would be better. However, Baitsishin was not sure whether God supporting heaven and earth would come, because this man was too scheming. She had no idea what he was thinking all day long. It's indeed inappropriate, but this woman is also very useful to me. I hope Miss Bai can understand. Shi Jingao also had his own difficulties. Recently he had to show some results. This was because he heard that Ji Yang from the Space Administration was inspecting the work downstairs. And it was very likely that he would come here. If he did not have a good result, it would be very embarrassing. The appearance of Li Hun was Shi Jing'ao's goal. In addition to what she had done recently, Shi Jing'ao was sure that someone would go deal with it. When the time came, he would come out and ask for her. Chapter 631. Baitsishin could sense Shi Jing'ao's determination to win the battle. Shi Jing'ao could also feel that if he wanted to get this woman, he would have to pay a price. It all depended on the situation. Baitsishin smiled lightly. Bureau Chief Shi, why don't you understand me? After all, to catch this woman I lost a lot. Then Miss Bai, how can you let me take this woman away? Do you want to fight with us? Shi Jing'ao said softly. There was a serious threat in his words. If they really fought, they might not be his opponent. But Shi Jing'ao didn't want to fight. After all, the time branch had rules. What he did now was already against the rules. If it was brought up, he wouldn't do it. But it was still fine to bluff people. How could they know these rules? What Shi Jing'ao didn't expect was that Xiao Yi had unintentionally mentioned these rules. He didn't know if Wang Debao took it to heart, but Baitsishin remembered it. Bureau Chief Shi, what you're doing shouldn't be against the rules, right? Baitsishin was brimming with confidence. In fact, she wasn't weak from the beginning. This sentence made both Shi Jing'ao and Wu Lu confused for a moment. How did this woman know about the space-time branch? Baitsishin added and smiled. Don't be too surprised. I have a friend who is your field agent. He told me about your situation. Who is it? How dare you reveal the time branch? Wu Lu shouted in a deep voice. Too bold. Don't you know you signed a confidentiality agreement? I'm afraid you won't be able to find him. He is Xiao Yi. Hearing Baitsishin's words, Wu Lu's face turned serious. Of course Shi Jing'ao knew Xiao Yi because he was also one of the reborn. His file was there. But he didn't expect that as a reborn, Xiao Yi would become a field agent of the time branch. It seemed that this Wu Lu did something behind his back. Wu Lu did hide it from Shi Jing'ao. After all, Xiao Yi's strength was there. He was the most suitable fighter. But he didn't expect that Xiao Yi didn't repay his kindness. He even revealed the rules of the time branch. It seemed that he was wrong about Xiao Yi. When he was beaten up like that, he recruited him, but he used this kind of method to repay him. Damn it, it's good that he died. Miss Bai, what are your conditions? How can you give this woman to us? Shi Jing'ao gave in. He did not intend to use force to snatch her, so he decided to trade. Baitsishin felt that this was an opportunity. If there was something good to exchange, she would naturally accept it. However, he didn't know Shi Jing'ao's bottom line, so he could only say, Director Shi, how much do you think this woman is worth? Shi Jing'ao sneered in his heart. This woman was really smart. She actually wanted to trick him. What did the space-time branch have the most? It was the primordial spirit. Even if it was the worst primordial spirit, they would probably want it. After all, anyone who could cultivate an essence soul was an expert. However, Wang Debao and Baitsishin had not cultivated their nascent divinities. Shi Jing'ao stretched out his palm, and a golden sphere radiated light. When the primordial spirit was revealed, there was an uproar. Baitsishin and Wang Debao also felt that this thing's energy was enormous. For the current him, it was a good thing. However, Baitsishin also knew that this was probably not Shi Jing'ao's bottom line. What is this? Wang Debao asked curiously. Drifting Soul spat out a mouthful of blood. What a bunch of idiots. They can't even recognize a primordial spirit. A primordial spirit. Baitsishin and Wang Debao did not expect this to be a primordial spirit. It was indeed very powerful. I wonder if the two of you are satisfied? I want to exchange this primordial spirit for this woman. Shi Jingao could see the greed in their eyes. This was good news. Wang Debao did not say anything. It was all up to his wife. He was not good at this. Bai Cixin hid her surprised expression and said softly, "A primordial spirit is enough to exchange for this woman? This woman is only worth this much?" At this time, Drifting Soul suddenly let out a low laugh. "Idiot, primordial spirits are also divided into high and low levels. This primordial spirit is the worst." Shi Jing'ao's face darkened. He stretched out his finger again, and a green light pierced through Drifting Soul's chest. This time, Drifting Soul almost died. Now he did not even have the strength to speak. Although he was already facing death, Drifting Soul's bodily functions were quickly recovering. This was the self-healing ability of a strong expert. If it was not for the giant cauldron's suppression, his injury should have recovered faster. After hearing this, Bai Cixin chuckled. "Bureau Chief Shi, is there a difference between high and low levels?" "Miss Bai, how trustworthy can a witch's words be?" Shi Jing'ao chuckled. In his heart, he wanted to kill this witch for talking too much. Bai Cixin sighed. "Then it's difficult for me. After all, you know how useful this woman is." "Miss Bai is really greedy," Shi Jing'ao said in a low voice. Another primordial spirit appeared in his hand, and the pressure it emitted was much stronger than before. Shi Jing'ao said in a low voice, "Miss Bai, 2 primordial spirits for this woman. But I also want you to know that I am the bureau chief of the space-time branch." This was a serious warning from Shi Jing'ao. Don't push your luck. Stop when you're ahead is what you should do. Of course, Bai Cixin knew this. What she wanted to do was to squeeze out more profits, and now she was very successful. The purpose of this, which was to increase the prestige of the Righteous and Righteous Alliance, but the Righteous and Righteous Alliance was still heaven and earth, not Bai Cixin's. But this primordial spirit could be used by itself to increase its own strength. So this trade was definitely worth it. As for the people behind them, they could just kill them later. Of course, this matter couldn't be known by heaven and earth. One should know that heaven and earth seemed to value it a lot, otherwise, they wouldn't have given out so many ancient artifacts. Bai Cixin stretched out her slender hand. Shi Jing'ao laughed and raised his hand slightly, and the 2 primordial spirits flew into Bai Cixin's hand. "Miss Bai is indeed a smart woman," Shi Jing'ao said lightly. Actually, it was not a big deal to exchange for 2 primordial spirits like this, but Bai Cixin's attitude made Shi Jing'ao a little unhappy. Bai Cixin said in a sweet voice, "Bureau Chief Shi should know how to use them." Shi Jing'ao heaved a sigh of relief. He really wanted to give this woman a slap. As Shi Jing'ao waved his hand, the 2 primordial spirits sank into Bai Cixin and Wang Debao's forehead. A fierce pressure suddenly bloomed, and the golden light between their eyebrows shone brightly. And it did not subside for a long time. After a long time, it finally calmed down. Wang Debao clenched his fists. Compared to himself just now, it was simply a complete change. Bai Cixin's face turned cold, and she slowly stretched out her slender hand towards her subordinates. These people knew something they shouldn't know, so there could only be one result. Chapter 632. When Bai Cixin stretched out her palm, everyone felt a strange spiritual pressure that appeared beside them, as if something was pressing down on them. "Alliance Master Bai! Alliance Master Bai! What are you doing? Alliance Master Bai, don't kill us." "That's right, we don't know anything, don't kill us." Bai Cixin wasn't a soft-hearted woman. She was decisive when it came to killing. This point was a bit stronger than Qingye and Donghuang Baiji. If Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were here, they wouldn't kill their subordinates. Along with Bai Cixin's clenching of her hand, the subordinates immediately exploded and died. Feeling the surge of power, Bai Cixin was very satisfied. Just now, that powerful being entered my body. I am much more powerful than my husband. Of course, Wang Debao wouldn't mind this point, because the more powerful his wife was, the more he would feel a sense of accomplishment. Why would he feel a sense of accomplishment? When his wife eats popping candy, that would be a man's sense of accomplishment. Good move. Shi Jing'ao even applauded. In actuality, even if Bai Cixin didn't make a move, he would have made a move. After all, these people had seen and heard too much. Bai Cixin revealed a light smile. Bureau Chief, sure, this woman is yours. After finished speaking, Bai Cixin planned to leave with her husband. Right now they still can't go and meet Qing Tiandi. The spiritual pressure is very unstable. I have to properly control it. I can't let Qing Tiandi see through anything. Miss Bai, wait a moment. Shi Jingao suddenly had an idea. This idea was actually pretty much the same as Wu Lu's idea. Bureau Chief, sure, is there anything else? Bai Cixin turned around and asked curiously. I wonder if I can cooperate with Miss Bai. Cooperate? Bai Cixin was puzzled. She immediately started calculating the pros and cons. Shi Jingao just wanted to use Bai Cixin's identity to do things for him. This way, the pressure on the space-time branch would be reduced a bit. Those field agents below them were still relatively weak. As for why they didn't distribute the primordial spirit, this was also the rule of the space-time branch. If the people below them rebelled, it would be even more troublesome to deal with them. Shi Jingao nodded his head and said lightly, in return, I will also provide some help. Bai Cixin silently calculated in his heart. The ship sky supporting Earth was very unstable, and he really should find a partner to cooperate with. This space-time branch seemed to be a good choice. This primordial spirit could even be released. How bad could it be? The most important thing was that this was a cooperation. Compared to being with sky-lifting Earth, they were subordinates. There was a difference between the two. This was also a way out. What does Miss Bai think? Bai Cixin pretended that she was having a hard time making a decision. She was putting on a show for Shi Jun. After all, she could not agree so quickly. What kind of help can Director Shi give me? Bai Cixin asked curiously. As long as you help me, I will naturally do my best to help you. This is cooperation. Then how can I trust you? Bai Cixin asked in return. Shi Jingao rubbed onto his sideburns and said eerily, I think, if I were to kill the two of you right now, no one would know, right? Bai Cixin and Wang Debao's faces darkened. Shi Jingao was right. All right. After a long while, Bai Cixin finally agreed. It was better to have one more friend than one more enemy. Miss Bai is a straightforward person. I wish us a happy cooperation. A happy cooperation. The two shook hands and came to a consensus. Go and bring the person over. Shi Jingao said faintly. Tonight's harvest was quite big. Yes. Wu Lu said respectfully. The decision that I made in private caused the director to be at a disadvantage in the negotiation. When I return later, I will definitely be scolded. Bai Cixin and Wang Debao were not in a hurry to leave. After all, they were considered to be partners now. If something unexpected were to happen later on, they still had to help. However, just when the husband and wife thought of something unexpected happened. Ah! A series of ghostly wails rang out from the sky, as if a person falling from a high altitude was crying for help. Wu Lu immediately became vigilant as he raised his head and looked at the night sky. A black figure could be seen flying over at high speed. To be more precise, it was flying over at high speed. Floating World let out a series of screams. Due to him being too excited, he didn't even know how to land. There's no helping it. I am completely unable to control my strength. Shi Jingao tightly wrinkled his brows. This black figure was actually flying towards the cauldron. Wang Debao seemed to be able to hear a muffled sound as a piece of meat patty stuck onto the cauldron. As the distance got closer and closer, everyone looked at the scene of the accident curiously. Bang! The black figure crashed onto the cauldron. However, a terrifying pressure immediately spread out in all directions. This was the aura that was emitted out from an ancient godly artifact being smashed. The cauldron in the sky could be seen to be smashed into pieces, and pieces of the cauldron fell onto the ground. Without the restriction of the cauldron, Li Hun fell onto the ground and was unable to move. However, his recovery speed had increased by a lot. The four looked at the scene dumbfoundedly. That black figure actually smashed an ancient godly artifact into pieces. How is this possible? Even Shi Jingao exclaimed in admiration. An ancient godly artifact is much more powerful than an ancient godly item. And yet this black figure actually smashed it into pieces with just his physical body. Just how strong is that black figure? Boom. Floating World's entire body smashed onto the ground. The ground beneath the four slightly trembled, and a large crater appeared in front of them. The pitiful Li Hun was very close to Floating World, and thus, Li Hun was nowhere to be seen. If Yi Hua were to find out about this matter, he would definitely feel that there is something wrong with his judgment of people. I asked you to go and save him, yet you buried him instead. As expected, you are even more arrogant than a husky. Floating World laid on the large crater and stared blankly at the sky. I was scared to death. Luckily, I didn't die sitting up. Floating World checked his body and discovered that his body was in good condition. Not a single piece of his skin had fallen off. However, when I fell onto the ground just now, I seem to have smashed into something, and that thing seems to be very valuable. I hope that I won't have to pay for it. Suddenly, Floating World seemed to have thought of something. I am here to save the big sister, and I clearly sensed that she was here just now. Where is she? Floating World stood up and looked around, but I didn't discover anyone. On the other hand, there are 4 people over there. Floating World felt that I should go and ask them. It will be troublesome if I can't find the big sister. With a light leap, Floating World landed in front of Shi Jingao and the others. Floating World revealed a smile on his face, and his white teeth looked rather clean. Just that his clothes were a bit worn out. Did you all see a woman? Is she very beautiful, very fierce, the kind that likes to kill men? Floating World asked curiously with an innocent look on his face. I am just short of saying that I am an honest person. The 4 did not expect that this black figure was actually here to look for the demonic woman. Floating World immediately felt that the situation wasn't good. Wang Debao casually pointed towards a direction. She ran over there. Chapter 633. Dou Fusher looked at the direction that Wang Debao was pointing at, and he went into a daze for a moment. Soon after, he smiled and said, "Thank you." After saying that, he disappeared on the spot. His speed was so fast that it left people speechless. However, Dou Fusher was a little confused. He seemed to have seen this man and woman somewhere before. Where? Why don't I have any impression of him? Seeing that Dou Fusher had left, the 4 of them let out sighs of relief. Although this person was very powerful, his brain wasn't very good. The person he was looking for had already been buried in the pit. Fortunately, he's an honest man, Wang Debao muttered. Bai Cixin nodded. If she had met someone with a brain, she would have noticed that something was wrong. Honey, don't you think we've seen that man somewhere before? Wang Debao suddenly asked in a low voice. As soon as her husband mentioned it, Bai Cixin immediately became concerned. When she recalled the man's appearance just now, her face gradually darkened. Suddenly he remembered. Hubby, at my brother's funeral. Bai Cixin said in a low voice. Wang Debao also recalled that the man who came to the funeral and babbled nonsense seemed to be Tang Wushuang's subordinate. But wasn't that man killed by his wife? That's not right. Didn't you kill that person? Wang Debao asked doubtfully. Bai Cixin heaved a sigh of relief and said faintly, maybe they just look alike. Shi Jingao searched for the information of the man in his mind, and found that he was not someone who had been reborn. Where did this man come from? Why was he so strong? Chief, we have to take him away quickly. Wu Lu stood at the side and reminded in a low voice. If that man discovered that something was wrong, he would definitely come back to kill them. Shi Jingao agreed with her. Hurry up and take her away, lest a long night brings trouble. Go quickly, Shi Jingao said in a deep voice. He couldn't stay calm anymore. However, Wu Lu had just lifted his foot when a gale hit him. Dou Fusher's figure appeared again. The 4 of them were startled. He had returned so quickly. He must have found something wrong. Sure enough, he couldn't be fooled. This man was still very smart. Dou Fusher turned around and smiled, revealing his white teeth once again. I dropped my phone when I landed, and it cost me more than 10,000 RMB. It's an Apple XS. What about Max? Selfies can even beautify your face. The 4 of them were speechless. Alright, I overestimated him. I didn't expect him to be such a chinibyu. Shi Jingao chuckled. It's really not bad. I'm using it too. Then he took out his XS. Max took it out. Dou Fusher paused for a moment, then actually walked towards Shi Jingao. This made the group feel even more pressured. Why are you walking over here? Hurry up and find your phone. My phone's battery is draining pretty quickly. Do you have the same phenomenon? Dou Fusher looked at Shi Jingao and asked curiously. Shi Jingao regretted taking out his phone, but he still smiled and said, maybe you didn't download the system properly. It might be better to turn off some of the Bluetooth functions. Oh, really? I just bought this phone not long ago, and there are still many things that I don't know. Can you teach me? Shi Jingao. Bai Cixin, who was at the side, almost collapsed. Bureau Chief Shi. Why did you have to take out your mobile phone? Other people just took the mobile phone and left. Moreover, the demoness was still buried in the ground. What if she suffocated to death later? What could Shi Zhen do? The man in front of him was very strong, so he could only answer his questions carefully. The few of them were about to collapse from playing Floating World, and he actually still asked how to take screenshots. Don't you know how to read the manual? Bai Cixin finally couldn't help but say softly, handsome, you haven't found your phone yet. Dou Fusher slapped his forehead. He had completely forgotten about the important matter at hand. Find my phone. Big brother, your business is to look for little Missy. He was not looking for a cell phone. Dou Fusher once again came to the crater and stood where he was lying. Sure enough, he saw his 10,000 yuan phone. I took the phone and looked at it for a while. Luckily, the phone's screen was not broken. If it was broken, it would be very expensive. Found it. Dou Fusher waved the phone in his hand. The four of them were very cooperative. They all smiled and even warmly applauded in celebration. It was as if Dou Fusher had done something amazing, causing people's scalps to go numb. Just as Dou Fusher was about to leave the crater, the mound of earth beside him suddenly slid down a little, revealing a fair and tender little hand. This caused the hearts of the four to sink to the bottom. It's over. Dou Fusher was stunned for a moment. A hand had actually appeared. What was going on? It should be a corpse, right? Let's not bother about this kind of thing. It's more important to find the big sister. That's right. Let's not bother about this. Dou Fusher could be seen walking towards the four of them. This action caused the four of them to be dumbfounded. They had no idea what Dou Fusher was trying to do. Aren't you looking for someone? The person is right there. Why aren't you going? Dou Fusher just didn't want to bother about other people's business. However, when they saw Dou Fusher's action, the four of them heaved a sigh of relief. It's fortunate that there's something wrong with this expert's brain. Otherwise, it would be hard to say. However, Dou Fusher suddenly stopped walking. This stop almost caused the four of their hearts to stop. This man is too troublesome. Just by going back and forth a few times, he has already caused us to tremble in fear. Also, what is he trying to do now? Bastard. Can't you just do everything in one go? Dou Fusher felt that he was a good person. The greater one's ability, the greater the things one could do. Saving a life is better than building a 7-floor pagoda. Even if it was a corpse. Looking at Dou Fusher walking towards the demonic woman, the four of them felt their scalps going numb. Didn't you see it just now? She had already left, so why are you walking back now? That's right. Dou Fusher turned on the light on his phone and lightly tapped on the white arm. Not to mention, the arm is quite smooth. It should be a female, right? Looking at the color of the skin, it should be a beautiful woman. What a pity. Dou Fusher grabbed onto Li Hun's arm and pulled. I actually can't pull her arm. How is this possible? Dou Fusher took a look at the four of them. He felt that he had lost a bit of face. I can't even pull a single person out. Therefore, he pulled with all his might. Dou Fusher had not gotten used to his own strength at all, and he had no idea how heavy his pull was. Li Hun's delicate body could be seen crashing into a pile of dirt at the side like a cannonball, immediately raising up a cloud of dust that was tens of meters tall. When the four of them saw this scene, their jaws almost dropped onto the ground. They felt that this man was here to kill the demonic woman, and not to save the demonic woman. Dou Fusher was also a bit stupefied. When did my strength become so great? Just pulling a single person out can cause such an effect. This is simply too cruel. I've sinned. I actually massaged a corpse. Dou Fusher hurriedly ran to the opposite pit to look for the corpse, and very quickly he dug out Li Hun's delicate body. Chapter 634. When he saw Li Hun, who was on the verge of death, Do Fusher felt unwell. Isn't this the big sister that I have to protect? Why did she become like this? Do Fusher hurriedly wiped the little sister's face, wanting to confirm it. That's right. That plum blossom mark on her forehead is too classic. It's her. His honor told me to protect her. But just now, Do Fusher swallowed his saliva. This isn't good, and looking at the big sister's appearance, she seems to be dying. What should I do? The 4 people who were standing far away did not take any action. They wanted to know just what this man came here for. Do Fusher carried Li Hun out, then placed her on the ground. The big sister's injuries are so serious, her abdomen, chest, shoulders are all filled with holes. However, her chest was still moving up and down. Do Fusher took a glance at her chest, then immediately shifted his gaze away. So big, I should save the big sister first. If she dies, I won't be able to explain myself to his honor. Do Fusher lightly moved aside the big sister's hair. Do Fusher feels so beautiful, coupled with the plum blossom mark on her forehead. He is simply about to explode. I feel that she is even more beautiful than Zishan's sister-in-law. Of course, it's just a little bit. It's all because of the plum blossom mark. Do Fusher could be seen taking a deep breath, then opening Li Hun's cherry lips. Puff, puff, puff. Can artificial respiration make such a sound? At least, that is what Shi Zhengao thinks. However, from this point, it can be seen that this man came to save her. The situation is a bit bad. Seeing Do Fusher's actions, Wang Debao couldn't help but nod his head. As expected, cultivators can save people like this. I've learned it. Is artificial respiration supposed to save someone who is injured like this? You only know how to take advantage of others. Do Fusher is just a lowly robber. His first aid method is still very old-fashioned. Even if he has the ability now, he doesn't know how to save someone. Therefore, he can only use artificial respiration. He definitely doesn't have any intention of taking advantage of others. One must know that Do Fusher is an honest person. How would he do something as despicable as taking advantage of others? Although I feel that the big sister's mouth is very sweet. Li Hun woke up. She was originally injured badly, but after the restriction of the giant cauldron disappeared, she started to recover quickly. However, a huge force scattered the spiritual energy that he had gathered and buried him in the mound, almost suffocating him to death. Then for some unknown reason, his entire body was sent flying, and his internal organs were almost dislocated from the impact. Even his healing speed was much faster than before. Just now, he heard puffing sounds beside his ears. His lips seemed to be moving a little, and there was even air blowing into his mouth. He opened his eyes, but when she saw a man. When he had kissed her with that dirty mouth, Li Hun had almost died. She hadn't even let that stinky man touch her, not even letting him hold her hand, but now she had actually been kissed by a man. Puff. Soul Departing coughed up another mouthful of blood. It seemed that Li Hun had been killed by the adulterer and the prostitute for a reason. You didn't even allow others to touch your hands, so how could they not be angry? Do Fusher was relieved when he saw Soul Drift spurting out blood. He said softly, "All right, you'll be fine after you spit out the blood." Soul Departing's beautiful eyes bulged. Screw your sister's extravasated blood. If he could move his body now, he would definitely cut this man into pieces. Soul Departing looked at the 4 people at the side, and killing intent flashed in his eyes. These 4 bastards. Once I recover, I will definitely take your lives. Don't turn your head if you're injured, it's not good for your neck. Do Fusher helped to straighten Soul Departing's head. Soul Departing was in disbelief. What did my injury have to do with my neck? The 4 of them felt that they couldn't stay here any longer, and all of them disappeared from the spot. If Soul Departing could speak, something would definitely happen. Soul Departing wanted to kill this man in front of him, even more now. He had actually used his hands to grab his head. Do Fusher didn't pay attention to the 4 of them. In his heart, he just wanted to protect Soul Departing, and he didn't need to worry about anything else. Looking at Soul Departing's strange gaze, Do Fusher laughed lightly. "All right, you don't need to thank me for saving you. I was just doing a good deed." Soul Departing was furious. "Do I need you to save me? You pervert, you are the same as those men, all bastards. Actually, do you know that we have met before? Last time when you stood on the streets, I told you to be careful. Do you remember? Aya, I guess you don't remember either. But how did you end up in such a state? If I came a bit later, you would have been dead. Fortunately, I managed to save you in time. It was really dangerous. When Do Fusher said these words, he felt a bit guilty. It couldn't be that I caused her to end up in such a state, right? Hearing Do Fusher's nagging, Soul Departing felt that she was going to vomit blood again. Also, are you planning to sit here and nag for the entire night? My name is Do Fusher. What's your name? Forget it, cold and aloof beauties usually don't talk, I understand. But who asked me to protect you, little mischievous fellow? After saying that, Do Fusher stretched out his hand and touched Soul Departing's face. Pooh. Soul Departing was so angry that she vomited blood again. Seeing that Soul Departing vomited blood again, Do Fusher felt relieved. Just spit out the blood and it will be fine. Soul Departing. Do Fusher looked at the mark on Soul Departing's forehead, and he stretched out his hand and touched it. This mark of yours is really beautiful, was it drawn? After saying that, he even rubbed his hands a few times. From the looks of it, it doesn't seem to be a painting you. Do Fusher saw Li Hun's expression and was speechless. He swallowed his saliva and said, I'm sorry, I just touched it out of curiosity. Don't look at me like that. That's right, Li Hun's eyes were about to spit fire. He actually dared to touch his birthmark. No man had ever touched her birthmark before. Bastard, there wasn't a single man who was good. Let's head back. It's getting a little cold here. Do Fusher helped Soulless up. This was the first time Do Fusher was supporting a woman. Do Fusher's posture was a little off. He had touched a place that he shouldn't have. What did you put on your body? It's so soft. Do Fusher asked curiously. Li Hun coughed out another mouthful of blood and fainted in Do Fusher's arms. Do Fusher stared blankly for a moment before smiling. I'll be fine after vomiting. The two of them then disappeared from where they stood. Floating World had finally completed the first step of the quest, finding Soulcast and almost killing the quest target. Do Fusher arrived at his hometown Weiyang village. Do Fusher felt that he should first leave the little big sister here for a few days, so that she can properly recover from her injuries. Do Fusher walked into the house that was built with mud bricks, and saw that there wasn't anyone inside. All of Do Fusher's family members had passed away, and the only property left was this old house. The central house was pitch black. Do Fusher walked towards the small house on the right, opened the wooden door, and turned on the lights. Afterward, Do Fusher lightly placed Li Hun on the bed. Begging for monthly votes, begging for monthly votes, begging. Chapter 635. Do Fusher took a look at the few small holes on Li Hun's body, and discovered that they had actually healed quite a bit. This woman is truly mystical. However, seeing that her clothes are dirty, I should help her change into a new one, lest she dirties my bed. The blanket is also hard to wash. His Honor wanted me to protect her, but now, I have to take care of her. This is truly troublesome. Walking out of the room, Do Fusher began boiling water, then took out a few sets of clothes to change into. Although these clothes are a bit old, I'll just let her use them for now, lest she says that I'm stingy. After pouring out the boiling water, Do Fusher tested the temperature of the water, then poured a bit of cold water. At this moment, Li Hun woke up from her coma. She looked at her surroundings and was a bit confused, but it was more important for her to recover from her injuries. In just a few hours, when I recover, all of you are going to die. Especially that man just now. He actually kissed me, touched me, and even touched my birthmark. I must kill him to silence him. There isn't a single good man in this world. You're awake. Do Fusher walked over while carrying the basin, and said with a smile. Li Hun stared at Do Fusher, as if she could kill Do Fusher with her stare. She wanted to scold him, but she was unable to make a sound. There's something wrong with your gaze. I saved you and even brought you back. After speaking, Do Fusher placed the basin on the ground, then took the towel that was on his shoulder and placed it in the water to wash. Looking at Do Fusher's actions, Li Hun tightly wrinkled her brows. What is he trying to do? Do Fusher squeezed the towel dry, then said carefully, I saw that your body was a bit dirty, so I helped you wipe it. Don't misunderstand, I just don't want you to dirty the bed. It's very hard to wash. The corner of Li Hun's mouth slightly twitched. Who cares about you? Scram. Is my body something that a man like you can touch? Although Li Hun thought that she could only use her eyes to express her thoughts, she was completely unable to say anything. Don't be too sad. Everyone has times where they get beaten up. I'm holding your hand. If you don't say anything, I'll take it that you're agreeing. Bastard. When I recover, I'll definitely kill you. When Do Fusher saw that Li Hun was still not speaking, he sighed in his heart. This woman wants me to take advantage of her. Does she think I don't know? I, Do Fusher, am also a decent man. If it wasn't for his honor's order, how could I possibly have contacted you? Gently holding on to Drifting Soul's small hand, Do Fusher began to carefully wipe the dust off his fingers, not even letting go of his fingernails. Your hands are so beautiful. Do Fusher couldn't help but sigh. This soul-leaving palm was very slender and soft. It felt very nice to touch. Do Fusher couldn't help but blush. This was the first time he had touched a girl's hand, so he was a bit shy. Li Hun was so angry that his entire body was trembling. This bastard was actually playing with his palm. Pervert. Looking at Li Hun's slightly rosy face, Do Fusher became even more shy. This is a man and a woman. I have sinned. These are all quests. These are all quests, nothing more. Lifting soul departing sleeves, Do Fusher could not help but sigh, so white. Hearing Do Fusher's words, Drifting Soul almost fainted from anger. She even felt a deep sense of despair. Even if this man wanted to do something to her, she wouldn't be able to resist. Sorry, I'm just speaking the truth. You're really beautiful. Do Fusher still wanted to affirm Drifting Soul's beauty. Upon hearing Do Fusher's words, Drifting Soul, who was originally angry, snorted in her heart. Aren't you just spouting nonsense? Men only know how to flirt. I've seen too many of them. After wiping Drifting Soul's arm clean, Do Fusher changed a basin of water. Let me help you wipe your face, it's all bloody. Do Fusher picked up a towel and wiped Drifting Soul's face, while Drifting Soul's eyes were still in a state where flames were shooting out from them. Their eyes met, and Do Fusher immediately turned his face away. After wiping Drifting Soul's face clean, Drifting Soul's face became even more beautiful. Do Fusher, you have to stay calm. Don't be charmed by the enemy. She is definitely trying to seduce me right now. Your clothes are all torn, so I found you a new set of clothes, and I'll also help you wipe your body. Don't misunderstand. I'm just doing this out of kindness. If you don't want it, just tell me, and you can wipe your body yourself. Drifting Soul really wanted to shout at Do Fusher to get lost, but the sound that came out of her mouth was indeed. Do Fusher was startled, and he hurriedly said, I'm not such a casual man. If you want to date me, you have to take it slow. You can't be too impatient. Drifting Soul, I feel like fainting right now. How can there be such a shameless man? I'm truly in despair. You can be at ease. I'll help you cover your important parts. I won't look at them. Drifting Soul clenched her teeth tightly. Right now she wished that she could eat Do Fusher's flesh. Do Fusher was still a very upright person. After taking off Drifting Soul's clothes, he immediately covered up Drifting Soul's important parts, guaranteeing that Drifting Soul wouldn't look at them. Right now Drifting Soul had already given up resisting. After I have a good night's rest, I'll kill him tomorrow morning. I don't even have to wait until morning. To actually do such a thing while I'm injured, shameless to the extreme. After wiping Drifting Soul's body clean, Do Fusher let out a sigh of relief, and then helped Drifting Soul change into a new set of clothes. Drifting Soul was clearly a classical beauty, but in an instant, Do Fusher had turned her into a village woman. All right, you should rest early. Good night. Do Fusher said to Drifting Soul, then walked out of the room and went to the other side to rest. Listening to Do Fusher's voice, Drifting Soul slowly closed her beautiful eyes. Right now, my main goal is to recover my strength, and then kill that man. Chop him into meat paste and feed him to the dogs. I have to wash away my shame. For the sake of achieving this goal, Drifting Soul began entering into meditation, and quickly recovered. Meanwhile, after taking a bath, Do Fusher lied down on the bed and slept. My quilt is dirty. I still have to wash it tomorrow. If I were to find a wife, I would definitely have to find a wife who knows how to cook and wash clothes. Although this woman is pretty, she isn't my type. I heard that Lee Hong-gu is a henpecked husband, and that he doesn't even have any status in the family. Thinking about it, how did Lee Hong-gu survive those terrifying days? His honor is still the most awesome one. His 2 wives are so beautiful, and their strength is also so formidable. In front of his honor, my goal is to be a man like his honor. While thinking, Do Fusher fell into a deep sleep. He was indeed a bit tired today. After all, Do Fusher wasn't able to adapt to the sudden increase in strength, and thus he fell into a deep sleep. In the dead of the night, Drifting Soul suddenly opened her beautiful eyes, then clenched her fists and muttered, "Your time of death has come." It must be said that Drifting Soul's recovery speed was very fast. A few hours ago, she was still on the verge of death, but right now, she had actually completely recovered. Sitting up, Drifting Soul pushed open the door, and decided to first go and kill that stinky man. Chapter 636. Do Fusher was in a deep sleep, and did not feel anything at all. He did not even notice the aura emitted by the soul-stealing sword. Drifting Soul looked at Do Fusher's face and almost fainted from anger. Especially the corner of his mouth that was slightly raised, as if he was very happy. Why was he happy? It must be because he had taken advantage of her, so he seemed very happy. Go to hell. Scum. Drifting Soul didn't think too much about it. He pointed his sword at Do Fusher. This sword was aimed at Do Fusher's arm. Drifting Soul wanted to chop off that pair of evil hands. His entire body had been touched by him. Ding, the tip of the sword stabbed into Do Fusher's arm, producing a low sound, but not even a piece of skin was cut off. Li Hun's jaw dropped as he looked at the sword in his hand. It couldn't be a fake, right? Do Fusher pursed his lips, slapped himself on the arm, then turned over, and went back to sleep. I thought that it was a mosquito. Drifting Soul felt terrible. His weapon couldn't hurt him at all. How was that possible? Could it be that his strength hadn't recovered yet? That's not right. He had already recovered. However, Drifting Soul didn't care too much about it. He picked up his sword and slashed down ferociously, sword light flashing wildly. A few minutes later, Drifting Soul's breathing quickened as Do Fusher was still sleeping on the bed. However, his weapon had no effect on him at all. It was like a toy, but even if it was a toy, it would still be awakened. And he was actually scratching an itch. My attacks are just scratching an itch for you. Bastard. I don't believe I can't kill you today. Filthy man. I'll make you explode and die. Soul Departing spread open its hands, forming a pink mist around its hands. With a single look, one could tell that it wasn't anything good. To be able to cause a man's body to explode, one could well imagine how powerful it was. You will die in torture, and I will slowly enjoy your pain. Soul drifting away let out a strange laugh, fantasizing about Do Fusher exploding and dying, letting his blood splatter all over the room. As Soul Drifting's arms moved, 2 streams of pink mist shot toward the sleeping Do Fusher, and entered his nostrils. Seeing this result, Li Hun snorted coldly. How dare you take advantage of me? Repent in hell. Do Fusher suddenly sneezed, rubbed his nose, and went back to sleep. Wandering Soul stood on the side and watched. 1 minute later, Li Hun was a little puzzled. Why hadn't it flared up yet? 5 minutes later, Li Hun frowned. 10 minutes later, the departed soul was a little uneasy. Why was there no effect? This man was actually snoring. It's definitely because my strength hasn't recovered properly. It must be like this. Just as Soul Departing was consoling himself, Do Fusher farted. However, this fart was a little too powerful, and a black pinkish color floated out. It seemed that the pink mist had been released by the floating battle, and there was even a black unknown object in the middle. Since he was closer to the soul, he was suffocated by the smoke and his entire body seemed to be turning green. This man actually farted, and he even smelled it. Immediately, a wave of retching came from his chest, but other than the urge to vomit, there seemed to be a ball of fire condensing in his abdomen. His whole body was burning, and his skin had turned pink. Li Hun was shocked. Could it be that he had suffered a backlash? This was impossible. Without any hesitation, the soul guide sat down cross-legged in an attempt to fend off the bizarre flames, But just as Lin Fan was channeling his soul separation technique to defend himself, he felt even more unbearable. It was as though his body was about to explode. Only then did Wandering Soul realize that this was the effect of his move. Moving to block it would only accelerate the explosion. Bastard! Why is it like this? It is even more ferocious than my own. And my entire body is itching unbearably. Ah! Soul departing couldn't help but cry out. This cry woke up Do Fusher, who was in a deep sleep. Do Fusher rubbed his eyes and looked at Soul Depari, who was sitting at the bedside. And his muddled mind seemed to have become much clearer. Why did you come out? Do Fusher asked curiously. Right at this moment, Soul Depari almost fainted, because this was a man's voice. Just a simple conversation was already enough to drive Soul Depari crazy. Seeing that Soul Depari's expression seemed to be in great pain, Do Fusher asked with concern. Are you alright? Is your wound hurting? Soul Depari was originally here to kill someone, but in the end he ended up like this, causing Soul Depari to almost want to commit suicide. Indeed, Soul Depari wanted to commit suicide right now, but the desire in his heart was already greater than the thought of committing suicide. Looking at Soul Depari, who was lying on the ground, Do Fusher had no choice but to stand up and hold on to Soul Depari's shoulder. It's cold to sit on the ground. Your wound has not healed yet. This time, it came from a man's hormones. Soul Depari smelled it, and even felt it, especially when Do Fusher's hands touched her shoulders. Soul Depari's entire body trembled for a moment, and she felt much more comfortable. However, what came after that was an even more intense desire. Do Fusher also realized that Soul Depari was acting strangely, and with his brows furrowed he said, Young miss, I was forced to do what I did previously. Although I saw a little, as long as I don't say anything, no one will know about it. If you really want me to repay you with my body, please give me a few days to think about it. After all, this is a big matter in my life, and I still don't know if you are my cup of tea or not, so I cannot be too hasty. Do Fusher felt that his rejection was rather gentle, and it wouldn't cause her any impact. How about this, you go back and have a good sleep first. If there's anything else, we can talk about it tomorrow. Actually, I am a good person. After saying that, Do Fusher felt that the big sister should be able to understand what he meant. Soul Depari couldn't take it anymore. Every single word that Do Fusher said was like a bomb that landed on her heart. Just now, she had said at least 100 words, and her tolerance had already reached a limit. Soul Depari grabbed onto Do Fusher's clothes, and looking at the man in front of her, she really wanted to kill this man. Even if she had to die together with him, she wouldn't hesitate to do so, but right now, she actually couldn't bear to kill this man, and even had those dirty thoughts. You, what are you doing? If you have something to say, we can talk it out. Who is talking to you? Soul Depari directly pressed Do Fusher onto the bed, and even tore apart Do Fusher's clothes. Everything happened too quickly, and before Do Fusher could even react, he was already being ridden. Just what are you trying to do? I am not the kind of person you think I am. Do Fusher began to struggle violently, but his hands were firmly pressed down by Soul Depari. Looking at Soul Depari's breathtakingly beautiful face, Do Fusher tried to persuade again. Even if you want to date me, there has to be a process, right? You are skipping too many steps like this. Furthermore, I don't even know what kind of personality you have, so listen to me first, don't take off my pants. Soul Depari shouted out coldly, Shut up. Although her voice was very cold, her expression was very flirtatious, and it gave people a strange feeling. However, Do Fusher was also a strong man, so how could he let Soul Depari get what he wanted so easily? Soul Depari seemed to have realized what Do Fusher was thinking, and she looked at Do Fusher coldly and said, Hurry up. Chapter 637. I say, why are you like this? Didn't I just look at you a little? Is there a need to be so direct? Why don't we sit down and have a good chat? If our personalities aren't right, we'll fight even if we're together. Also, I don't like women who are too domineering. I like those who are timid and helpless, those who know how to cook, wash, and take care of children. Do Fusher stated his request in one breath. Li Hun didn't hear it at all. She just wanted it now, but this man wouldn't let her. Bastard. Exasperated, Drifting soul tore at the clothes on his body, causing them to instantly disappear. Seeing this, Do Fusher felt a gush of hot air in his nostrils, unconsciously feeling respect. Li Hun sensed it. He exclaimed that this was a good opportunity, and sat down mercilessly. This made Li Hun moan in pleasure. It was as if all the pores on his skin had opened up. You scheming woman, to actually use this kind of method, it hurts. Do Fusher couldn't help but shout out. This woman is simply inhumane. She actually didn't care about my own thoughts and raped me. And she was even so violent. This is the first time I, Do Fusher, have done it. Wasn't it the same for soul separation? The storm was still going on, and the wooden bed kept creaking. It didn't stop for the whole night, and the frequency was getting faster and faster. Outside the house, it gradually began to drizzle, forming a beautiful melody as it landed on the ground, but Do Fusher was not in the mood. This woman had been doing it for an hour and still hadn't stopped. She was simply shameless. But now that things had come to this, Do Fusher felt that this was fate. Forget it. I, Do Fusher, am also an old-fashioned man. Since we have already done it, I have to take responsibility. However, the prerequisite was that she had to agree to some of his requests. Otherwise, she wouldn't want it. At this time, Drifting Soul was in high spirits, and every cell in his body was screaming excitedly. Suddenly, Li Hun felt empty, because this man actually refused to give it to her. He actually did not give her a happy mood. Li Hun really wanted to kill him. What are you doing? The soul-separating substance asked, trying to satisfy that emptiness again. Do Fusher said solemnly, "Don't go too far. I have people above me. Don't stop me." Li Hun snorted. Her pretty face was filled with need. "If you agree to my conditions, I won't stop you. Speak." "Well, since something like this has happened, you are my wife. To be my wife, you must follow the 3 obediences and 4 virtues. Washing and cooking are essential skills in life. In the future, I will be in charge of the big things in the family, and I will also be in charge of the small things. That's all for now. I will tell you after I think about it. Are you done?" Wandering Soul felt like he was going crazy. He could not suppress the excitement in his heart at all. "Just give me an answer. If you don't agree, then leave. If you agree, then continue." Drifting Soul took a deep breath. "All right, I promise you." Do Fusher nodded seriously and said in a deep voice, "Bring it on." Drifting Soul laughed. This expression was truly beautiful. Once again humiliating Do Fusher. The rain outside was getting heavier, but the passion in the room did not stop. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. On the 3rd night, Do Fusher almost rolled his eyes. This woman was so inhumane. He had tortured himself for 3 days. It can't be helped. The pink mist that Do Fusher breathed in was mixed with the black mist, causing the nature of the mist to double. If Drifting Soul didn't work, she would have exploded and died. If Drifting Soul knew that the ending would be like this, she definitely wouldn't have come to kill Do Fusher. After all, she wouldn't be able to kill Do Fusher at all. Do Fusher hugged onto Drifting Soul's body, and his gaze was a bit confused and helpless. "I didn't even have a girlfriend before, and I was directly promoted to wife. Furthermore, this woman is so proactive, making me feel very uncomfortable. Normally, cold goddesses aren't that kind of sacred and inviolable goddess, right? Why did things turn out like this?" Just as Do Fusher was hesitating, Wei Chang's voice rang out beside his ears. "Do Fusher, His Honor is asking you, where is she?" Wei Chang's voice was stern as he questioned. "It has already been 3 days, and the female demon actually disappeared. No one knows where she went." Yihua asked Do Fusher to protect Drifting Soul, not to sleep with someone else. In actuality, he wanted to sleep with someone else. However, the female demon had disappeared for 3 days, and this made Yihua very unhappy. In the end, Yihua still wanted to use her to deal a blow to heaven and earth. Do Fusher hurriedly said, "She is with me. She suffered some injuries, so she is currently receiving treatment." His Honor said to quickly send her out to kill people. It has already been a few days since she last killed people. Others have already forgotten about her. All right, I will immediately send her out to kill people." Do Fusher hurriedly agreed. After cutting off the connection with Wei Chang, Do Fusher felt a bit despair. Too many things had happened during these 3 days, such as right now. Little Do, let's continue. That's right, this is how it is. Do Fusher is about to feel despair. That drifting soul from before seemed to be fake. But look at this is what I call real. Wait, go and pour a cup of tea for me. Do Fusher said with a straight face. And, after speaking, drifting soul got off the bed, poured a cup of tea for Do Fusher, and then laid back down. Do Fusher was helpless. I don't know why drifting soul is so obedient. At first, I thought that she was pretending, but in the end, I discovered that she wasn't pretending, and she was really obedient. She did whatever I told her to do. Even washing socks is fine. For Do Fusher to even suspect that this woman is acting, this doesn't make sense at all. Perhaps, Do Fusher still didn't know that his fart had a bit of a chemical effect. The pink mist had an aphrodisiac effect, and the black mist within Do Fusher's body was tyrannical and ferocious. It wasn't that drifting soul turned into an obedient woman, it was just that she couldn't stop herself. Perhaps, even she herself didn't know why. Drifting soul, that shouldn't you go and kill men now? Do Fusher was very panicked, because the current drifting soul didn't seem to hate men anymore. Boring, I don't want to go. Drifting soul said softly. Do Fusher knew that drifting soul would be like this, and he persuaded. How can you do that? You have to stick to your own principles. You can't give up halfway. Not going, not going, not going. I won't go. Do Fusher covered his face. What should I do? I can't complete the mission that his honor gave me. Be obedient. If you don't go and kill men, I won't let you play with me anymore. Do Fusher threatened drifting soul. She was willing to do anything, but right now, she just wouldn't go and kill men. Drifting soul pursed her lips. It doesn't matter. I will play with myself. Do Fusher. Chapter 638. I don't want to. Li Hun said resolutely, then began playing with Yihua's body again. Do Fusher didn't know what to say anymore. He felt that he was going to go crazy. His honor will definitely scold him to death. Why did such a thing happen? I, Do Fusher, don't want to, your honor. Save me. A week passed by very quickly. Yihua was a bit annoyed recently. On one hand, it was because of that demoness. Why did she disappear for so long? On the other hand, it was because of his sister-in-law. Ever since that day, this sister-in-law seemed to have changed into another person. If she was afraid of me in the past, then right now, she isn't afraid of me at all. Just like right now, I am having a clandestine affair with my sister-in-law again. This is so awkward. Brother-in-law, if big sister finds out that we are lying together like this, what will she do? Qing Yutong, who was lying in Yihua's embrace, asked curiously. In actuality, the two of them didn't do anything out of line, they were just hugging each other. Yihua was still controlling himself. After all, if he were to really push Qing Yutong down, he would be letting Qingya down. You seduced me. Yihua said faintly while smoking. Sniff, sniff, brother-in-law, how can you be like this? Alright, let's stop here for today, I have something to do. Yihua extinguished the cigarette. This sister-in-law feels like I can't afford to offend her. However, this kind of stimulating feeling makes me feel very happy. It was normal for Yihua to have such a thought, because there was nothing else in this world that could make him feel excited or nervous. Only when I am having a clandestine affair with my sister-in-law would I have such a feeling. Brother-in-law, don't go. When are we going to make love? Make love your head. Don't let your imagination run wild all day. Yihua knocked onto Qing Yutong's forehead, causing the latter to pout, looking extremely pitiful. However, Qing Yutong didn't give up. Brother-in-law, look at big sister and big sister Baiji. They are both pregnant. They definitely won't let you touch them. I don't have any. Hurry up. Let's talk about it when your big sister agrees to it. Yihua stood up. As a supreme overlord, I have to have principles when doing things. It's fine if I am having a clandestine affair to find excitement, but it's best not to touch my bottom line. I have to take into consideration Qingya's feelings, and of course the Empress. Qing Yutong was just like a deflated balloon. Brother-in-law, please be merciful. I don't want to be a girl anymore. I think you should go back to leisure bar and play games with Zizi. Yihua let out a deep sigh. Recently, I have to stabilize myself a bit. This sister-in-law of mine is still not something that I can push. I'm afraid that one day, I won't be able to hold myself back and push her away. Seeing that Yi Hua had disappeared, Qing Yutong angrily took a pillow and smacked it onto the pillow. This big plan of mine to push down my brother-in-law actually didn't succeed. System, do you think that I'm too ugly? Brother-in-law didn't even have any reaction towards me. Qing Yutong lied on the bed and asked powerlessly, Master, your brother-in-law is an honorable supreme. How can he be pushed down so easily? Furthermore, Master, you're being too proactive. You have to keep him in suspense. Hearing what the system said, Qing Yutong sat up, then said with a smile, I didn't expect that you would be so smart. Why didn't I think of that? The Supreme Honorable is also a man. Master, you can do it. Qing Yutong already had an idea. Recently, I have indeed been taking the initiative a bit too much. Next, brother-in-law, if you miss out on today, there won't be such a thing in the future. Yi Hua still didn't know about his sister-in-law's tricks. He appeared at Wei Chang's house and decided to personally ask about Dou Fusher's situation. Why is there no movement at all after so long? Very quickly, Wei Chang found Dou Fusher's aura, and the two of them directly appeared in Dou Fusher's old house. Yi Hua and Wei Chang, who were standing in the central room, immediately wrinkled their brows, because they heard a different kind of sound. Yi Hua's face darkened. I asked Dou Fusher to protect the female devil, but he actually slept with the other party. How can there be such a subordinate in my party? Go and call him over. Yi Hua said gravely. This is too outrageous. Today, I have to properly punish this Dou Fusher. Seems like I was too merciful. To actually not take my orders seriously. Yes. Wei Chang replied gravely. Wei Chang was very straightforward. Walking to the door, he shouted, Dou Fusher, come out. All of a sudden, the sound inside the room stopped, and a panicked voice could be heard. In less than a minute, Dou Fusher hurriedly ran out of the room. When he saw that his honor had actually come, he nearly peed in his pants, because his honor's complexion was very bad. Subordinate greets his honor. Dou Fusher hurriedly kneeled on the ground and shouted. At this moment, Li Hun walked out of the room with her clothes on, and when she saw Yi Hua and Wei Chang, her little Dodo was actually kneeling on the ground and trembling. Little Dodo, quickly get up. What are you doing? Who are they? Li Hun's expression changed, and she had the thought of helping Dou Fusher vent his anger. Dou Fusher was frightened by Li Hun's words, and he hurriedly shouted out, Li Hun, quickly kneel down. Little Dodo, don't be afraid, I am very powerful. Li Hun wasn't afraid of the two people in front of her at all, and her expression was that of arrogance. Dou Fusher's frivolous expression changed, and he shouted out sternly, Li Hun, kneel down right now. Li Hun's brows tightly wrinkled. She didn't understand why Dou Fusher was acting like this, but she had never seen Dou Fusher shout at her before. Li Hun, who was smart, knew that Dou Fusher was in a difficult situation, and thus she chose to obey and kneel down. One must know that Li Hun had never kneeled before. Seeing that Li Hun was kneeling down, Dou Fusher let out a breath of relief, then hurriedly said, Your Honor, Li Hun is immature. Yi Hua sat on a chair in the central room, and Wei Chang stood respectfully at the side. Oh, she is immature, and you are going to be immature as well? What did I ask you to come here for? To have sex with her? Yi Hua questioned coldly. He was very angry. Dou Fusher hurriedly lowered his head. Your Honor, please forgive me, subordinate knows my mistake. Li Hun couldn't take it anymore, and she shouted out while looking at Yi Hua. Who are you? What does the matter between me and little Dodo have to do with you? Li Hun, don't speak. Dou Fusher's heart was about to jump out from fear. This is my boss. Wei Chang's expression sank, and he raised his hand and slapped Li Hun, who was kneeling on the ground. Li Hun was immediately sent flying, and a big hole was smashed open on a brick. You are actually disrespecting his honor. You are courting death, Wei Chang said sinisterly. Looking at this scene, Dou Fusher's face turned ashen. These few days, I have developed some feelings for Li Hun, so how can I bear to see her get injured? As the saying goes, a single night as husband and wife means 100 days of love. It had already been a few nights, and Dou Fusher was starting to fall in love with Li Hun. Your Honor, it is subordinate's fault. Li Hun doesn't know anything, Dou Fusher said while kowtowing, and a big hole was smashed open on the uneven ground by Dou Fusher. Chapter 639. Absolute Heaven and Brett were the reason why Fusobbattle was able to join the team. Although Absolute Heaven and Brett were not very satisfied with the results, they had still completed the task. As a result, Absolute Heaven made an exception and allowed Fusobbattle to join the team. Previously, when there was the Green and Red brothers, Yihua felt that if he were to be properly taught, he would be able to take up a great responsibility in the future. However, looking at the mission this time, it seemed that he was thinking too much. I told him to protect someone else, but this is great. He slept with someone else, and in broad daylight, he's still messing around on the bed, completely ignoring my words. Looking at the entire team, who would dare to ignore this senior's words? Only this floating battle. Just because he saw that the other party looked good, he slept with the other party. I reckon that he used his strength to coerce the other party. For such a scum to appear in my team, I, the Supreme Overlord, have failed in my judgment. If Dou Fusher knew what his honor was thinking about, he would definitely cry out that he was wronged. It's not that subordinate slept with her, it's that she slept with subordinate. In order to please her, this subordinate has tried his best to satisfy her request. Even if she wants to go out and kill men, this subordinate doesn't want to do that. His honor asked you a question. Answer me honestly. Wei Chang bellowed. Even if you break the ground, it's useless. There was not even a scratch on Dou Fusher's forehead, only a bit of dust. Your Honor, subordinate does not have the face to plead for leniency, it is subordinate's fault. Dou Fusher did not explain anything, and hurriedly admitted his mistake. At the same time, Li Hun stumbled over from the side. Blood was flowing from the corner of her mouth, but she wasn't afraid at all. She shouted in her delicate voice, Lil Daru, get up. We don't need to be afraid of them. Dou Fusher's expression was as ugly as it could get. You foolish woman. Can't you see the situation clearly? There's only one path in front of you. Your Honor, Li Huan didn't say those words on purpose. Please spare her life. Dou Fusher begged bitterly. If he were to truly anger his honor, the consequences would be extremely severe. Yihua looked towards Li Hun, and Li Hun wasn't weak at all as he looked straight at Yihua. If it weren't for the fact that you still have some use, I would have killed you right now, Yihua said lightly. This woman was meant to be used to deal with heaven and earth. If not, Dou Fusher wouldn't have been sent to protect her. And right now, Dou Fusher was actually protecting her on the bed. Who the hell are you people? Lone Soul seemed to have only just recovered from her shock, and she questioned in her delicate voice. Dou Fusher knelt on the ground without saying a word. Wei Chang wanted to say something, but was stopped by Yihua. I admire your killing methods, and I was afraid that something might happen to you. So I asked Dou Fusher to come and protect you. In the end, I didn't expect that you, a woman who hates men, would actually rely on a man. This is truly ironic. Li Hun was silent and then asked, You want me to kill people, why? There are a lot of uses for it. Therefore, the reason why you are still alive right now is completely because you still have a bit of value to me. And this person, I asked him to protect you, but he slept with you instead. Before Yihua could finish speaking, Li Hun said lightly, I was the one who slept with him. When Yihua and Wei Chang heard what Dou Fusher said, they both went into a daze for a moment, and soon after, they looked towards Dou Fusher, seemingly asking if what Dou Fusher said was true. Dou Fusher sensed the gazes of the big shots, and he said guiltily, Your Honor, it is subordinate's fault for not being capable enough, and I got slept with. Yihua thought that it was Dou Fusher who was lustful and used the power that Dou Fusher had bestowed upon Yihua. However, who would have thought that it was actually Soul Li who had slept with Dou Fusher? This Soul Li is quite pretty. Why would she sleep with Dou Fusher? Yihua and Wei Chang were a bit confused. And then, the two of you slept with Dou Fusher without doing anything? Yihua asked gravely. Although I have misunderstood Dou Fusher a bit, in the end, I still didn't do my job well. I deserve to be punished. Soul Li said. I was the one who didn't want to go. Why? Yihua asked confusedly. Back then, killing stinky men was very satisfying, but being together with little doe, it was even more satisfying. F***K. This explanation is very powerful. I actually can't refute it at all. As long as it is satisfying, it is fine. This woman's requirements are truly low. Your Honor, actually, Solely told me to accompany her for a few days, and then she went out to kill men. Dofusher said sincerely. That was indeed the truth. Dofusher had begged Solely over and over again, and Solely had agreed to accompany Dofusher for a few days, and then she went out to kill men. Today was the last day, and His Honor came over. Yihua looked towards Solely, and the latter said faintly, "What little doe said is correct." Yihua let out a light breath, then looked at Dofusher and said, "How do you want me to punish you?" Without waiting for Dofusher to reply, Solely walked over to Dofusher's side and slowly knelt down. "Little Dofusher is innocent. If you have any problems, then come at me." Solely was very domineering. She who had completely lost her confidence in men seemed to have found her confidence in Dofusher. Yihua was precisely waiting for this sentence, and said in a low voice, "I want you to continue killing. The bigger the commotion, the better." "All right." Solely didn't think too much and directly agreed. Yihua was very satisfied with Solely's attitude. Yihua looked at Dofusher and said, "I will give you one last chance. Continue to protect her. If you continue to do anything that makes me unsatisfied, you will be kicked out. Do you understand?" "Thank you, Your Honor, for your forgiveness." Dofusher hurriedly thanked Yihua. "Even after such a thing happened, His Honor still spared me. As expected, His Honor is a good leader." Knowing that it was a misunderstanding, Yihua didn't plan to punish Dofusher. However, right now, Dofusher was still being observed. If Dofusher was not suitable, Yihua would still kick him out. After all, my team doesn't need trash. You two can go and handle your matters. I hope that I will be able to see the report later on. After finished speaking, Yihua left the scene with Wei Chong. Seeing that His Honor and Uncle Wei had left, Dofusher immediately collapsed onto the ground. I was truly frightened just now, and I feel as if I was walking on a tightrope of death. Solely looked at Dofusher's appearance, and a smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. "Little Dofusher, are you here to protect me?" "That's right, but I was slept with by you, and I was almost killed by His Honor. Dofusher was in great pain. Just what did I do wrong? I am being bullied by all sorts of people. Is this how an honest person should be?" Solely lightly hugged onto Dofusher, who wanted to cry but had no tears. All right, little Dofusher, don't cry, it's just a small matter." "Is it still not big enough? Right now, I am unable to calm down even after a long time." "Is that so? Let's go and have another round. Then you will be able to calm down." "What? Another round? I still want to live." "It's fine, they have already left. Let's go and handle our matters after one round. Hurry up, I want it, Dofusher." With a look of despair on his face, Dofusher was dragged into a small black room, and that pleading gaze of Dofusher was sending a signal to the entire universe. Although Solely is very obedient, his demand is too high. This is not the wife that I, Dofusher, want. On the other side, Yihua arrived at Wei Chang's house. Chapter 640. Your Honor, Tang Bingyao found a job outside. And she's not working at the bar anymore? Wei Chong poured a cup of wolfberry tea for Yihua. She's making one serving during the day and one serving at night. Yihua took a sip of the tea, then said gravely, "If that's the case, then you are in the wrong. Girls are working hard outside, and you are just acting like a boss at home." "Your Honor, didn't you say that men need to have status?" Wei Chong said in a low voice. "All of this is because of Your Honor. Yihua, you do indeed have status. To let Tang Bingyao work outside to support you, I really don't know what to say. Forget it. It is better for me to not get involved in my family matters. I will just let them do as they please." "Your Honor, actually this matter with Dofusher and Soul departing is also a good thing." Wei Chong stood at the side and said respectfully. And Wei Chong smiled and said, "It is much easier for Your Honor to deal with this matter. Just one act is enough to solve the problem." Yihua understood what Wei Chong meant. This soul departing only needs to cooperate for a bit, and the problem will be solved. In actuality, whether or not she cooperates, the result will be the same. I really don't understand. This woman actually slept with Do Fusher, but does Do Fusher have such charm? Yihua muttered curiously. Your Honor, everyone has their own preferences. Perhaps this Sol de Paris likes Do Fusher. True, you continue with your work. I will return to Voidless Realm first. Goodbye, Your Honor. After returning to Voidless Realm, it was just in time for lunch. Because Donghuang Baiji had to deal with Voidless Realm's matters, Donghuang Baiji learned how to cook. It must be said that this made Yihua very happy. Women need to learn how to take care of men, and cooking is one of their basic skills. Although it is not necessary, I still need to have such an attitude, which makes me very happy. Yihua walked into his own harem. Let's just call it a harem for now, although there are only 2 of them. Right after walking into the harem, Yihua saw his sister-in-law playing with the 2 kids. Yihua looked over and noticed that Qing Yutong had changed a bit. Although we just had a clandestine affair, but right now, she feels like she seems to have even put on makeup, and her attire is also rather decent and virtuous. She seems to be walking the route of maturity. This is the type of attire that I, the Supreme Overlord, like. As expected of my sister-in-law, she knows how to please me. The woman that I, the Supreme Overlord, fancy wouldn't be too bad either. She is truly alluring. Dad, when the 2 little fellows saw that their father had appeared, they ran towards Yihua. Meanwhile, Yihua carried one in each of his hands. How was your study this morning? Dong Huangli hurriedly nodded her head. And I will teach little brother addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Dad, it's so hard. Yi Yin mumbled. Yihua laughed lightly. Yenner, you have to work hard then. And Yin, will definitely do your best and bring honor to Daddy. You really are my good son. Let's go. Let's go and eat. Yihua was very happy as he carried the child and walked towards the palace. Qing Yutong did not say anything and obediently followed behind Qing Yutong. Dad, quickly put Yenner down. I'll go get the dishes for Mom. Ali also wants to go. Yihua felt that his children were rather sensible. Looking at the 2 little fellows running out, Yihua slowly sat down. Meanwhile, Qing Yutong, who was sitting opposite of Yihua, was holding on to her chin while looking outside of the house. Not to mention, Qing Yutong's angle was very enchanting. Even Yihua, who was used to looking at women like Qingya and Donghuang Baiji, was about to be mesmerized by her. Qing Yutong knew of her own advantage, and thus she made good use of it. If it was before, the current Qing Yutong would definitely look for stimulation. For example, taking advantage of the fact that her big sister and the others weren't around, she would sit in brother-in-law's embrace and kiss him. However, right now she completely stopped moving. This caused Yihua to be a bit gloomy. If I take the initiative to call her sister-in-law, it would seem that I, the Supreme Overlord, am being too proactive. However, looking at Qing Yutong's beautiful side profile, Yihua's heart felt a bit itchy. What kind of tea is that, Wei Chong, to actually be able to make me feel a bit hot after drinking it? Although Qing Yutong did not look at brother-in-law, she could feel that brother-in-law was harboring malicious intentions. Humph, I have already taken the initiative for a few days, and now, it is brother-in-law's turn to take the initiative. This is a good thing. I can't get my hands on it too easily. If not, how can I treasure it? Even after the little fellows had served all of the dishes, Qing Yutong still did not move. This caused Yihua to be furious. What is this sister-in-law trying to do? Is she trying to keep me in suspense? Her guts are truly getting bigger and bigger. The family of 6 began enjoying the warm lunch. The 2 little fellows didn't need to be fed at all, and they were able to eat with big mouthfuls. Looking at the 3 women eating was also a kind of enjoyment. Furthermore, Qing Yutong was especially particular today, which was something that Qing Yutong had never done in the past. This caused Qingya to be puzzled. Our family's Yutong is going to take the gentle and virtuous route today. Big sister, if I am not gentle and virtuous, no man would want me anymore. When are you going to introduce me to a man? Being alone is truly lonely. Qing Yutong let out a light sigh. It seems like if I don't have a man, I won't be able to continue living my life. Yihua, who was eating, paused for a moment. This sister-in-law of mine sure is gutsy, to actually say such things in front of me. Although I know that Qing Yutong was doing this to anger me, I still feel very unhappy. Dong Huang Baiji smiled sweetly. Yutong, the men in Voidless Realm are good, they won't mess around. Among the few great generals, there are also some who have yet to get married. If you fancy any one of them, tell me. Qingya, who was at the side, laughed. That's right. I can see that there are a few of them who are rather honest and dutiful. The two little fellows stopped eating and looked at the adults who were chatting with one another, expressing that they were very curious. After hearing that, Qing Yutong pouted her mouth. Isn't it brother-in-law who has the final say in our family? Yutong will have to listen to brother-in-law's decision. Yihua almost spat out the food in his mouth. This sister-in-law sure knows how to play ruthless. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji looked towards their man. At the very least, you should say something. What else can Yihua say? A few hours ago, I was still playing aeroplane chess with my sister-in-law on the bed. Other than that one time at the end, I have basically played everything that I wanted to play. However, right now I have to say something. Yihua placed down his chopsticks and said faintly, this kind of matter cannot be rushed, I will investigate it properly. If it is honest and upright, it is still fine. Qing Yutong snorted in her heart. Brother-in-law is too bad, he still wants to investigate. Qingya also felt that what Yihua said was reasonable. Marriage is indeed a big matter that needs to be taken seriously. Baiji, I will have to trouble you to take care of Yutong. No problem, leave it to me. When the time comes, I will arrange a few people for you to meet and get familiar with each other. Then, Yutong will have to thank big sister Baiji. Qing Yutong said with a smile, seemingly very happy. This caused Yihua to feel even more unhappy. You are definitely taking revenge on me. Do you think that I, the Supreme Overlord, will spoil you? If you want to go, then go. After eating, the two little fellows began to take an afternoon nap. Meanwhile, Yihua took out his phone and browsed through the news. As expected, not long after, the homicidal maniac Li Hun appeared, and the commotion that he caused was quite big. Chapter 641. Due to the commotion this time being rather big, the consequences were also very frightening. People from all over the world started blaming Justice Alliance and Peace Association. Aren't you two an organization that maintains public order? Why didn't you two get rid of this demoness after she appeared for so many days? Or are you saying that you don't have the ability to get rid of this demoness? If you don't have the ability, just say it out loud, and everyone will think of another way. This caused Justice Alliance and Peace Association to be in a terrible situation. However, in the next few days, the situation became even more serious. That demoness seemed to have gone mad, and no one was able to stop her. She killed every man she saw, scaring a lot of men to the point that they didn't dare to leave their homes anymore. Right now, within Wang Debao's villa, Qing Tian's attitude changed, and his expression was rather gloomy. Wang Debao and Bai Cixin sat on the sofa at the side, and as for Feng Tian, he was still in his autistic state. After giving you so many ancient godly items, why didn't you get rid of that demoness? Qing Tian questioned in a deep voice. Because a female reincarnata actually brought so much trouble to his two organizations, Qing Tian didn't expect this to happen. Previously, he was respected and admired by others, but now, he was being scolded like a dog, and was even labeled as useless. Damn it. All of you are a bunch of unruly people, keyboard warriors. Wang Debao said lightly, Brother Qing, that demoness is simply too powerful. Last time, the people that we brought over all died. If not for us running fast enough, we wouldn't have had any hope of escaping. Excuses? Qing Tian shouted coldly. This caused Wang Debao and Bai Cixin to slightly go into a daze. Seems like this demoness indeed angered Qing Tian. Furthermore, Qing Tian's tone isn't right. Just now everyone said that they are a team, but looking at the current situation, it seems like he is the one making the decision. I want to see the result within 3 days. Understand. Qing Tian's gaze was deep. This caused Wang Debao and Bai Cixin's heart to sink. Even though they have powerful primordial spirit right now, they still feel that Qing Tian is very powerful. Isn't this nonsense? Back then, Xiao Yi also had primordial spirit, and he even reincarnated once, but he was still insta-killed by Qing Tian. The two did not explain too much and nodded their heads. They didn't know how to deal with that demoness. Let's go out. Qing Tian slowly calmed down. The appearance of this demoness gave Voidless Realm a chance to take a breather. If Voidless Realm were to grab hold of this opportunity, they would be able to make a comeback. It seemed that he would have to consider making a move. When Bai Cixin and Wang Debao walked out of the villa, Wang Debao said in a low voice, "This seems to be our house. Why are we the ones leaving?" "It seems that we have to contact Director Shi," Bai Cixin said in a deep voice. They couldn't go on like this. The ship that was Sky Supporting God was about to capsize. Moreover, Sky Supporting God's attitude had changed a lot. It was no longer the same as before. Wang Debao paused and asked curiously, "Honey, are we going to join the space-time branch?" "Let's see. Honey, can't we just live a good life? Do you really have to get sucked into this vortex?" Wang Debao heaved a sigh of relief. He was actually feeling a little tired. He had originally thought that he was a top-notch expert in this world. But in the past year, he had discovered that there were simply too many powerful people out there. They were not people that he could fight against at all. Bai Cixin stopped in her tracks and gently hugged her husband. "Debao, when we can escape unscathed, we'll live a good life and ignore everything else." "Really?" Wang Debao was still very excited. Bai Cixin nodded her head. The excited Wang Debao carried his wife and spun her around. "Let's go, I'll treat you to KFC." "What's so good about KFC? I want to eat popping candy." Bai Cixin laughed tenderly. Wang Debao's mouth became an O shape. "My wife hasn't eaten popping candy for a long time, and today, she actually wants to eat popping candy. As her husband, of course, I have to give her popping candy." The husband and wife held hands, just like a couple who were passionately in love, sat on the car and left. Meanwhile, Sky Supporting God was standing beside the window on the second floor. Looking at the husband and wife leaving, the corner of Sky Supporting God's mouth slightly rose. Meanwhile, in Voidless Realm, there was a big event that was going to happen today. Right now, within Qing Yutong's palace, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji were busy being cuckolded. Why were they busy being cuckolded? Because Qing Yutong was going to go on a blind date today. These few days, I intentionally ignored my sister-in-law to let her know that I, the Supreme Overlord, am not someone who is to be trifled with. Quickly come over and apologize to me. Then we can continue having an affair. In the end, not only did this sister-in-law not come and look for me, she even agreed to go on a blind date with Qingya. This sister-in-law is completely not putting me in her eyes. My two wives are still helping Qing Yutong dress up. Motherfucker. What is there to dress up for? Who the hell dares to go on a blind date with my sister-in-law? Do they not want to live anymore? Where did Yihua go after dinner? I didn't see him at all. Donghuang Baiji said doubtfully. Qingya sized up her masterpiece. Who cares where he went? Yutong, are you satisfied with this? Looking at her own reflection in the mirror, Qing Yutong snorted coldly in her heart. Look, where am I lacking? Brother-in-law is actually ignoring me, and I even want to go on a blind date with him. Just now when I was eating with him, he even said that it was fine. And satisfied, too beautiful. Qing Yutong was a skilled actress, and she was able to completely conceal her current mood. Donghuang Baiji, who was at the side, laughed lightly. Yutong, this Tang Yu is the youngster who has the most promising future in the entire Voidless Realm. Not only is he handsome, he is also proficient in all kinds of martial arts, and there is no need to talk about his moral character. Tang family has been protecting Voidless Realm for generations, and Tang Yu is the same. I just like handsome men. Qing Yutong let out a series of laughter, seemingly like a love-struck fool. Qingya poked onto her little sister's forehead unhappily. You, don't just look at appearances. Ayaya, I got it, don't mess up my hairstyle. Success or failure will depend on this. Qingya shook her head helplessly. It's fine for you to be a bit crazy in front of us, but don't be like this in front of other people. Be a bit more gentle. I got it. I'll be leaving first. Wait for my good news. After finished speaking, Qing Yutong jogged out of the room. Qingya warned loudly. You walk slower. Be a bit more ladylike. Got it. Looking at her little sister leaving, Qingye let out a deep sigh. For her, I have been worried to death. Donghuang Baiji hugged onto Qingye's shoulder and teased. I feel that Yutong and Yihua are actually quite compatible. How about we matchmake the two of them? The two of them still want to matchmake each other? Yihua can't wait for that to happen. Qingye rolled her eyes. Yihua wouldn't accept such a good thing. Even if he was beaten to death, he wouldn't believe it. Chapter 642. Donghuang Baiji laughed lightly. I only did it because Yutong is your younger sister. If it was someone else, I wouldn't be willing to do it. Are you trying to push my sister into a pit of fire? Qingye laughed helplessly. Haha, I was just joking, don't take it seriously. It is better to let Yutong decide her own matters. Qingye let out a light sigh. Thinking about my little sister's marriage is giving me a headache. If it really doesn't work, I might as well just marry Yihua. If Yihua really marries Yihua, I will have to worry about what if Yihua doesn't treat my little sister well. It must be said that these two women are truly invincible. If Yihua were to know what the two women are thinking in their minds, he would definitely be very excited. To actually know how to find a wife for me, the two of you are truly great. In Voidless Realm, there was a food street. Voidless Realm. Voidless Realm felt just like walking into a street in ancient times. During the night, this place was very lively, and Voidless Realm's youngsters would all come here to play and flirt with the big sisters. Of course, this was also a good place for a date. On a stone bridge, the scenery here was very pleasant. Many young men and women were whispering sweet nothings to each other, or looking into the distance. There was also a wooden boat below, which was also a good dating mode. Wow, that is Tangyu, everyone quickly look. So handsome, Tangyu is so handsome. Why did Tangyu come out today? It's so weird. Everyone felt that Tangyu was very strange. It was very rare for Tangyu to leave her house. Ever since her father died in the war back then, Tangyu became a little general, and she was also the youngest general in the entire Voidless Realm. Thus, she received the favor of countless girls, and all of them wished that they could just fall into Tangyu's embrace and enjoy the caress of a hero. Tangyu was 189 centimeters tall, the height of a typical male god. He had a head of long, elegant hair, and a face that looked like it had been carved by a knife or axe. It could be said to be perfect. His eyes were calm, but his aura made people not dare to approach him. The two of them combined created a fatal attraction. Following the imposing footsteps, Tangyu walked to the stone bridge. Placing his left hand on his abdomen and his right hand leaning on his back, Tangyu looked into the distance and waited for the beautiful woman. Upon closer inspection, Tangyu was a little nervous. Just today, the Empress was actually arranging a marriage for him. Even Lord Qing's younger sister, Tangyu, had also seen Qing Yutong from far away, and she felt that Qing Yutong was truly very beautiful, and her beauty was on par with the Empress. This caused Tangyu to feel a bit unconfident, because Qing Yutong was too perfect, and I'm afraid that I'm not worthy of her. Of course, amidst this lack of confidence, he was still very happy in his heart. After all, it was the marriage that the Empress had mentioned. If I can really marry a girl like that, it will be my good fortune. Thinking of this, Tangyu took a deep breath, and her mind began to wander. As the date drew closer, Tangyu became more nervous. However, at this moment, a series of exclamations rang out. Tangyu also looked in the direction of the voices. An extremely beautiful woman slowly walked over. She wore a pure white dress, and her cheeks were as white as snow. Her eyes were as clear as autumn water, and the smile on her lips was like a red plum blossom on a branch, exuding a pleasant charm. All the men couldn't move their feet when they saw her, and all the women would feel ashamed of their inferiority when they saw her. Her beauty was on par with the Empress. She was Qing Yutong. So beautiful, as expected of Her Majesty's younger sister. That's right, her appearance is comparable to Her Majesty's. I heard that her big sister is even more beautiful. Lord Yi sure is lucky. However, why did she come out today? Didn't she always stay in the palace? She might have come out to take a stroll. Tangyu swallowed his saliva. This is the girl that I went on a blind date with? She is really so beautiful, and she seems to have dressed herself up meticulously. My God. She actually values this blind date so much. Doesn't this mean that I have a greater chance of getting married? What should I say later? If it is too abrupt, it doesn't seem too good, right? Qin Yutong also saw Tang Yu. Tang Yu looks very similar to the photo. She did not Photoshop. However, when she saw Tang Yu's figure, Qin Yutong took in a deep breath in her heart. I still can't compare to brother-in-law. It can be said that I have fallen into brother-in-law's trap. Right now, I want to compare all the men that I see with brother-in-law. However, compared to brother-in-law, I am simply too weak. Brother-in-law is a real man. I really like brother-in-law Woo. However, in order to make brother-in-law angry, I have to put on a good performance. I don't believe that brother-in-law will be able to endure it. If he is able to endure it, I, Qin Yutong, will admit defeat and throw myself at brother-in-law. As expected, I am shameless. There is no other way. Who doesn't like an outstanding man like brother-in-law? Even the Empress and Big Sister were able to bury the hatchet. And this is all because brother-in-law's charm is too great. Qin Yutong walked onto the stone bridge step by step, and Tang Yu, who was on the other side, turned around, and her expression began to become abnormally nervous. Seeing Tang Yu's expression, Qin Yutong once again felt that brother-in-law is really too outstanding, to the point that even I have to throw myself at him. Although this man in front of me looks handsome, but seeing me being nervous like this, sigh, where is my manliness? Where is my aura of dominance? Where is my dignity? Qin Yutong didn't think about what kind of identity I have right now. I am the Empress's younger sister, Lord Ye's sister-in-law. Even if placed in the entire voidless realm, I will still be respected by everyone. Adding on my temperament and aura, ordinary men really won't be able to withstand it. And this Tang Yu can also be considered as a youngster. It is very normal for her to have this kind of behavior. Qin Yutong stood in front of Tang Yu. The latter's mind was in a mess, and the words that she wanted to say just now were all forgotten. However, the people in the surroundings began to discuss among themselves. My God! The reason why Tang Yu came so early is actually because of the Empress's younger sister. Looking at this situation, they should be going on a blind date. Damn, this Tang Yu is too awesome to be able to directly become in-laws with the Empress. I'm so envious. I want to become like Tang Yu too. The men in the surroundings were all envious of Tang Yu, and the women were all envious of Qin Yutong's appearance. Qin Yutong was about to become speechless. This Tang Yu actually doesn't know how to speak. She is already stupefied from looking at me. If the full score was 100 points, Qin Yutong would have to deduct 50 points right now. Let's go for a walk, Qin Yutong said lightly. Tang Yu was feeling ashamed. I actually let other people speak first. I definitely won't be able to leave a good impression on myself. I am too stupid. All right. Tang Yu was very embarrassed, and after revealing this smile, he became even more embarrassed. Qin Yutong felt that she was going to deduct another 25 points from herself. This man is no good. He doesn't look as good as brother-in-law when he smiles. Qin Yutong and Tang Yu could be seen walking side by side on the street, and the people in the surroundings were very surprised. The two of them are actually on a date. This is a big matter in Voidless Realm. However, Tang Yu didn't know what to say anymore, and could only continue walking foolishly. Chapter 643. About that, today's weather is pretty good. Tang Yu thought for a long time, and decided to break this awkward situation. Qin Yutong pursed her lips. Is there such a thing as weather in Voidless Realm? Tang Yu. So awkward it's really so awkward Tang Yu felt that her brain wasn't enough right now. I have to quickly think of a way to save myself and cherish this rare opportunity. I usually stay at home and train my martial arts, write poems and draw. What about you? Tang Yu felt that this topic was pretty good. Don't all girls like this type of guys? Qin Yutong laughed. Is that so? I like guys who know how to play games. Tang Yu. Play games? I don't think I have played games before. How am I supposed to continue with this? I am completely unable to continue. I have never left Voidless Realm before, so I don't know how to play games. Tang Yu said helplessly, feeling that she was going to be finished today. Qin Yutong didn't mind at all and said with a smile, You are also doing this for Voidless Realm. I can understand. That's good. How about we go to that pavilion and have a seat? Tang Yu looked towards the pavilion that was not far away from them. That pavilion was a place where guys would brag, drink and so on. All right. Qin Yutong said tenderly. Tang Yu felt that Qin Yutong's voice was super pleasant to listen to. If I can listen to her voice for my entire life, how great would that be? Yihua also felt that his sister-in-law's voice was very pleasant to listen to, and this point was a bit better than Qinya and Donghuang Baiji. Especially when she acts coquettishly, it can simply give you goosebumps. The two walked into the pavilion that was called Huaxian Pavilion. The environment inside was elegant, and there were a few guys who were bragging. When they saw the two walking in, the guys stood up and shouted, "Lord Qing! General Tang!" From the order, it could be seen that Qin Yutong's status was higher than Tang Yu. The two nodded their heads, which could be considered as a response, then directly walked towards the top floor. However, not long after the two left, Yihua walked in with a cigarette in his mouth, and his expression was a bit unkind. When everyone saw that Yihua appeared, they all went into a daze. Soon after, they revealed a look of worship and shouted, "Lord Yi, this is how a strong person should be addressed." From their tone, it can be seen that when they called Tang Yu just now, they definitely did not use this tone. Yihua did not pay any attention to her and directly walked upstairs. "Tonight, I am going to spank my sister-in-laws, but until it is swollen." Towards Yihua's attitude, no one felt uncomfortable. In fact, they even felt that this was something that a powerhouse should do. Coming to the top of the pavilion, Qin Yutong and Tang Yu sat at a seat that was close to the side. From this angle, they could see the entire street, and it was very comfortable. Especially when the cool breeze blew. That comfortable feeling made people feel relaxed and happy. Qin Yutong held onto her chin, then turned her head and looked towards the darkness outside. "Curious about what brother-in-law is doing. I am already going on a blind date. Are you still not anxious? What a bad brother-in-law. Do you want something to drink?" Tang Yu asked with concern. "Whatever," Qin Yutong said indifferently. "Is the tea good? I don't like it." "Tang Yu, didn't you say anything? Are all women like this? What do you want to eat?" "Whatever." Tang Yu was about to collapse. How could she be so casual? However, right at this moment, Yihua walked over. Everyone on the tall pavilion stood up. Even Tang Yu stood up, but Qin Yutong didn't. "Greetings, Lord Yi." Everyone shouted respectfully. Yihua nodded his head and sat at the side. Although Qin Yutong didn't stand up, the corner of her mouth revealed out a cute arc. "Brother-in-law is so cute. I love you to death." Tang Yu, who sat down, saw Qin Yutong smiling and felt curious. Could it be because of me? When Yihua saw that his sister-in-law was smiling so happily, he became furious. "To have a clandestine love affair with me. And now, you are going on a blind date. Who do you think I am? This is what it means to abandon after having sex." Yihua's appearance undoubtedly brought about a lot of pressure. The people on the tall pavilion left one after another, completely unable to endure such an oppressive atmosphere. However, since Qin Yutong didn't leave, Tang Yu wouldn't leave even more. However, she also didn't dare to speak loudly, and she didn't even dare to talk to Qin Yutong. "Lord Yi is Qin Yutong's brother-in-law. Coming here today is definitely to inspect me. However, with how I am right now, I am definitely a failure, right? Should I go over and greet him?" But looking at Lord Ye's expression, it seems like he doesn't seem to be that friendly. What should I do? My entire body feels uncomfortable sitting here. Or would I have the mood to flirt with girls? And I am completely unable to flirt with girls. Qin Yutong was very happy in her heart. Brother-in-law still cares about me. Look. He even ran over here. This stingy guy is really worthy of being the jealous king of the cultivation world. Although he says no, he actually wants it to death in his heart. After a long time, Tang Yu really felt uncomfortable. Her nerves were about to collapse. "About that, I still have some matters to take care of at home, so I will be going back first." Tang Yu squeezed out a trace of a smile. "I cannot afford to offend the Empress's younger sister." "Wrong. She's my woman, you can't afford to offend her." Qin Yutong was also rather embarrassed, and she said with a smile, "Then you should quickly go back." "I'm so sorry." Tang Yu just wanted to go home as soon as possible. She didn't want to think about anything else. When passing by Yi Hua, Tang Yu shouted out respectfully, "Lord Yi, I will be leaving first." Yi Hua didn't say anything and nodded his head with a calm face. After Tang Yu left, Qing Yutong snorted. "Come over." Yi Hua shouted out in a low voice. "For the sake of brother-in-law's good performance, I'll be obedient this time and follow your heart." Qing Yutong sat in front of Yi Hua and pouted. "Qing Yutong, you're so bold now, going on a blind date." "Brother-in-law, you promised it yourself," Qing Yutong said in a low voice. Yi Hua slammed onto the table. "You still dare to talk back to me? I really like brother-in-law like this, he's so manly, I love it. It is obviously you, what does it have to do with me?" Qing Yutong muttered in a low voice. Yi Hua's expression turned cold, and the two of them instantly disappeared from the pavilion and arrived at Leisure Bar's bedroom. Yi Hua did not hesitate and directly pressed his sister-in-law onto his thigh, then directly gave her a slap. "Brother-in-law, it hurts, be gentler." Qing Yutong bit her lips tightly, and that sweet voice of hers really caused Yi Hua's strength to decrease by quite a bit. This sister-in-law of his really knew how to choose the right time to attack, when he was full of anger. Yi Hua and Qing Yutong immediately pressed Qing Yutong onto the bed, and Yi Hua and Qing Yutong began to enjoy the pleasure and excitement of having an affair. "Brother-in-law, stop for a moment," Qing Yutong shouted out. Not knowing why, when Yi Hua heard Qing Yutong call him brother-in-law, and then such a thing happened, he felt very refreshed. Yi Hua frowned and asked in confusion, "Brother-in-law, lie down." Yi Hua wanted to see what kind of tricks this sister-in-law was going to play. Chapter 644. Very comfortable? Yi Hua was a bit stupefied, but what happened next caused Yi Hua to instantly feel excited and comfortable. Yi Hua had also thought about this kind of stimulation before, but he had never mentioned it to Qingya and Donghuang Baiji before. He felt that it wasn't appropriate, but he would often fantasize about it in his heart, and that feeling would definitely be so great that it would explode. However, what this sister-in-law was doing right now was something that Qingya and Donghuang Baiji had never done before. "I am very happy. I am very happy. This little sister-in-law is mine. Damn, it's so comfortable." Not knowing how long had passed, Qing Yutong licked her lips, then asked with a beaming smile, "Brother-in-law, is it comfortable?" "Yutong, your performance is wrong. I like it very much." Yi Hua gave the highest praise to Donghuang Baiji. From the looks of it, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji had never received such praise before. "Sob sob sob, I'm so happy. Brother-in-law actually praised me." Qing Yutong was also very excited. To be able to get brother-in-law's praise is truly too hard. Just look at those subordinates of brother-in-law. They are all thinking of ways to get praise. Even big sister and big sister Baiji are the same. They are doing their best to do everything well, all for the sake of getting brother-in-law's praise. Right now, Yi Hua felt that his entire body was feeling very comfortable. "I have been holding it in for a long time. Luckily, I have Yutong's help." While hugging onto his sister-in-law's fragrant shoulder, Yi Hua asked curiously, "Where did you learn this trick from?" Qing Yutong hugged onto Yi Hua's waist and said with a beaming smile, "How is there a need to learn? Everything is for the sake of serving brother-in-law. And Yutong, it's good that you have this kind of awareness. You didn't waste brother-in-law teaching you for so long. Sob sob sob, as long as brother-in-law is happy." Qing Yutong immediately began acting coquettishly, and Yi Hua enjoyed it very much. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji very rarely act coquettishly in front of him now. In the past, they would still act coquettishly a little, but now that they are the mother of 2 children, it is very difficult for them to act coquettishly even for a month. However, the feeling of having a clandestine love affair is still very great. It's no wonder that so many men like it. I, the Supreme Overlord, like it as well. "Brother-in-law, there's still time. Do you want to do it again?" "All right. We'll go back when you're done." "Okay." Yi Hua closed his eyes and placed both of his hands behind his head, enjoying the comfortable feeling that his sister-in-law gave him. Very comfortable. Within Voidless Realm, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji had also heard about this news. "Qingya, it seems like us men are interested in Yutong. to the point that we have to personally watch over this blind date. Dong Huang Baiji let out a delicate voice, seemingly not really caring about it. However, this was also Qin Yutong. If it was another woman who tried it, they would have already taken out a blade and rushed towards Dong Huang Baiji. Qinya held onto her forehead and said in a low voice, "From the very start, this Yihua never had good intentions towards Yutong. In the past, he even said that he wanted me to send condoms to Yutong. Don't you think that this is infuriating?" Dong Huang Baiji pushed aside her hair and said lightly, "Qinya, Yutong has been with Yihua for so long, and right now, every single man would compare Yihua with Yihua. Say Yihua is so outstanding, who else would she like?" That's true. No matter what kind of man is compared to Yihua, they would all feel inferior. Qinya agreed with what Dong Huang Baiji said. "My man is the most outstanding man in the world. That's why, if your sister were to continue competing with Yihua, she would definitely end up alone for the rest of her life. Furthermore, Yutong has been living with us for so long, we are already a family. If she were to really marry out, I would still be a bit worried." Qinya turned her head around and looked at Dong Huang Baiji, then said doubtfully, "Baiji, did you receive something good from my sister? To think that you are actually trying to enlighten me here. How is that possible? Yutong is truly a good girl, not many men are worthy of her." I think that Yihua is the one who came to look for you to persuade her." In the past, Dong Huang Baiji wasn't like this, and right now, Dong Huang Baiji is actually acting as the matchmaker between her sister and her husband. Alright, I won't say any more, lest you think that I am a spy." Dong Huang Baiji raised her hands and surrendered. In actuality, this was also a suggestion. Qinya was Qin Yutong's big sister, and this matter still had to depend on whether Qinya agreed or not. "I heard that the two of them disappeared, and I have no idea where they went," Qinya said in a low voice. Dong Huang Baiji was trimming her nails, then said with a smile, "What else can they do? We are not even allowing Yihua to touch them, and Yihua is probably going to find trouble with his sister-in-law. This won't do, I have to go and catch them, this is too outrageous," Qinya said indignantly. In actuality, she still hadn't thought things through in her heart. From a certain point of view, if Yutong were to marry Yihua, Qinya would be at ease. At the very least, Yihua would treat Yutong with sincerity. If it was someone else, Qinya wouldn't be able to say anything. Right now, her sister had undergone an earth-shattering change. Who knows what other people are plotting? However, just as Qinya was preparing to go and catch them, Yihua appeared in front of the door. "You two haven't slept yet?" Yihua said faintly. His expression was very normal, as if nothing had happened. Qinya's expression changed, and immediately, a smile appeared on her face. She pulled Yihua to sit on a chair, then lightly massaged Yihua. "Yihua, where did you go just now?" Qinya probed. If Yihua didn't even have this bit of awareness, then what was the point of having an affair? He would have been caught long ago. "I didn't go anywhere, I just strolled around with Yutong and taught her how to win over a man's favorable impression." While saying this, Yihua couldn't help but think back to the scene just now. "Yutong sure put in a lot of effort to win over me." Qinya went into a slight daze. "My husband isn't walking the normal path. Actually, Baiji and I had discussed it just now. We feel that we won't be at ease if Yutong were to marry someone else, so we wanted to ask for your opinion." If I were to fall for your trick, I would be chopped up during the live stream." "What opinion?" Yihua asked curiously. "Didn't I tell you before? I will just let Yutong follow you," Qinya said tenderly, as if she was forcing Yihua to marry her. To be honest, Yihua's heart was slightly moved, but the answer that came to his mind was, "Don't fall for my trick. Qinya is lying again. I have taught you so many times, lying is a bad habit. You have to learn from me. Never lie to others." "What kind of crooked idea is this? Yutong is my sister-in-law, and you are even Yutong's big sister. This is too outrageous. I have to properly criticize you. Hurry up and dispel this idea of yours." Yihua shouted out coldly. "Do you think that I, the Supreme Overlord, don't know about your little tricks?" However, what Yihua didn't expect was that Dong Huang Baiji actually approved of the idea. And although Qinya didn't approve of the idea, at the very least, She didn't oppose it just now. Chinya was a bit unsure of what her husband was thinking. Is he really not feeling anything towards my little sister? Or is he just pretending? As expected of a man who once won the Best Actor award, to be able to even deceive his wife. Chapter 645. As for why she was sincere, it was naturally because of Yihua's acting. If just now Yihua had directly expressed that he liked his sister-in-law, Chinya would definitely be unhappy. However, right now, Chinya felt that her husband didn't like Yutong. On one hand, Chinya was happy. On the other hand, Chinya was also worried about the issue of who her younger sister would belong to. In fact, just like what Baiji had said, Yutong's current condition was so good. If Yutong didn't have any feelings for Yutong, what would happen if she was cheated by a man? Thinking about the consequences of that, Chinya became even more worried. I might as well give it to Yihua. With this, I can be more at ease. In the end, this was also a kind of habit. Qin Yutong had always been living together with everyone, and Qin Yutong had a kind of feeling that it wasn't a big deal to have her by herself. If Yihua were to know what his wife was thinking about, he would definitely agree to it. His sister-in-law is truly too good at making me feel comfortable. Hearing Qinya's words, Yihua didn't believe it from start to finish. You still dare to say that you won't set me up? Every single word that you said is filled with tricks. Qinya, we are husband and wife. Can't you use less tricks and be more sincere? What I have decided will not change. Don't ever mention it again. Yihua snorted coldly, then swung his hand and walked away as if he was very angry, leaving behind his two wives who had a dumbfounded look on their faces. Donghuang Baiji seemed to have also been deceived by Yihua's acting skills. Seems like it won't work. Yihua doesn't seem to like Yutong. How is that possible? Donghuang Baiji said in astonishment. I don't think this should be the case. Yutong's appearance is absolutely beautiful, and she is not the slightest bit inferior to me and Qinya. Her figure is also very good, and yet, Yihua actually doesn't like her. Was the sun not going to come out? Qinya was also confused. Yihua actually doesn't like Yutong. This doesn't make sense. Is it because we forced him too hard that Yihua no longer has any feelings towards women? Qinya asked curiously. This question caused Donghuang Baiji to frown. You don't have feelings for women? Doesn't that mean he doesn't have feelings for me? This was not a good thing. These few days, Yihua went to sleep with the children and didn't sleep with us anymore. Donghuang Baiji said gravely. Now that I think about it, there is indeed a problem. Could it be that Yihua's sexual orientation changed? Originally, I was already worried about my little sister's matter, and now, I have to worry about Yihua as well. Did he become stupid from holding it in? I'll go and see what Yutong says. Qinya felt that this was a big matter. I mustn't let Yihua suffocate to death. I and Baiji definitely won't be able to satisfy Yihua, not even for a few months. At that time, if Yihua were to be forced to go out and look for other women, it would be even more troublesome. If it really doesn't work, I can only let Yutong do it. A family member is always better than an outsider. At that time, if a woman were to suddenly appear and fight for favor with me, just thinking about it made Qinya's scalp go numb. Then I'll go with you. Donghuang Baiji seemed to have the same thoughts as Qinya. It's good for us to benefit our own people, but it's impossible for us to benefit outsiders. The two women directly rushed towards Qin Yutong's palace. Right now, Qin Yutong was currently bathing and changing her clothes, and she was humming a little tune, and she was very happy. When he thought of his brother-in-law's joyful expression, he felt happy. It seemed that he was very powerful to be able to make his brother-in-law happy. La 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 la. Qin Yutong lied inside the wooden barrel and carefully wiped her body, giving her brother-in-law the most beautiful image of herself. Along with the sound of the door being pushed open, Qin Yutong's little face immediately became nervous. It seems like Big Sister and Big Sister Baiji came. Damn, brother-in-law wouldn't have confessed, right? Are they here to kill me? I'm so nervous, brother-in-law. Save me. Your sister-in-law is about to die. Yutong, are you bathing? Qinya shouted from outside. That's right, Big Sister. What's the matter? As expected of a celebrity, Qin Yutong's acting skills were still on par. Oh, you bathe first. I'll talk to you later. All right. Qin Yutong was feeling restless right now. Talk to me? Talk to me? Could it be that I have already been discovered? Luckily, I had just finished comparing my testimony with brother-in-law. I'll listen to what they want to ask first. In any case, I won't admit to anything even if I'm beaten to death. I will resolutely resist their tricks. 10+ minutes later, Qin Yutong was finally done bathing and walked out of the bathroom while wearing light pajamas. Qin Ye and Donghuang Baiji sat on top of the jade chair and looked at Qin Yutong's walking posture. There doesn't seem to be any problem. As expected, I was thinking too much. Seems like Yihua really doesn't like Yutong. This is going to be difficult. Seems like I can only ask Yutong what she thinks. Big sister Baiji, is there anything going on so late at night? Qin Yutong asked curiously, then obediently sat at the side. How can I not be obedient? I was just having an affair with their husbands just now. Wow, this is so exciting. Qin Ye asked curiously. Where did you go after the blind date? As expected, she came to ask. Luckily brother-in-law is quick-witted. Brother-in-law and I strolled around for a bit, then we came back. Qin Yutong said with a faint smile. Qin Ye and Donghuang Baiji took a look at each other. Seems like they didn't lie, but at the same time, they came to some sort of agreement. Of course, this kind of thing still needs to be asked by Qin Ye. Donghuang Baiji won't ask, after all, she is Qin Yutong's big sister. Yutong, big sister wants to ask you something. And big sister, you can ask. Yutong promises that I won't lie. Qin Yutong knew it. Big sister must have found out something. Brother-in-law is too careless. How did big sister find out about it? Qin Ye nodded her head. Yutong, big sister knows that your standards are very high now, and you don't like ordinary men. What does big sister mean by this? Is big sister not intending to go on a blind date for me? This is also a good thing. I originally didn't plan to go on a blind date. That's right, that's why I am also very depressed. Qin Yutong said while putting on an act. The reason why big sister came here today is to ask you, what do you think of your brother-in-law? Qin Ye felt that she was rather strange. I don't seem to feel uncomfortable asking this question. Does this count as sharing happiness with him? What a good sister. My brother-in-law? What do you think of him? Qin Yutong was a bit confused, completely unable to understand what big sister meant. Qin Ye didn't know what to say, and Donghuang Baiji said with a smile. It's like this, your big sister is afraid that you will be bullied when you get married, so she wants you to marry your brother-in-law, but I don't know what you mean by that. Damn. This is a trick. This trick of yours is too deep, isn't it? No matter what, I am still your little sister. To actually trick me like this, if I were to agree to it right now, wouldn't that mean that I am admitting to having an affair with brother-in-law? Do you think that I, Qin Yutong, am stupid? To test me, brother-in-law must have been tested just now, so he came to look for me. Qin Yutong's expression could be seen immediately changing, and she said coquettishly, You all. How can you all have such thoughts? He is my brother-in-law. This is the fall of morality. Where am I supposed to put my face in the future? Sister-in-law hooking up with brother-in-law. Qin Ye and Donghuang Baiji didn't expect that Qin Yutong's reaction would be so intense. Chapter 646. Big sister, you don't need to say anything. It is impossible between brother-in-law and me. You two better dispel this terrifying thought and don't talk about it in the future. If not, I will get angry. Qin Yutong had a righteous look on her face, but in her heart, she was thinking, you two actually want to use this method to make me admit defeat. You are looking down on me too much. Qin Ye asked seriously, Yutong, do you dislike Yihua that much? What's so good about brother-in-law? He has a bad temper. He likes to hit people, and he is not gentle at all. Other than being handsome and strong, he has no other good points. Although Qin Yutong said that, in her heart, brother-in-law is the best man in the world. Qin Ye and Donghuang Baiji didn't expect that Yihua was actually like this in Qin Yutong's heart. However, Qin Yutong's description was rather accurate. Yihua was indeed like this. Qin Ye shook her head helplessly and asked for one last time. Yutong, big sister is not joking with you. I really feel that you and Yihua are quite good. Look, Big Sister is making her final struggle. She is actually tempting me. Big Sister, I am not joking with you. Brother-in-law is not my type. Qin Yutong said resolutely, feeling very pleased in her heart. I will not fall for your tricks. This time, Qingya and Donghuang Baiji had no other way. Big Sister understands. You should rest early. Qingya and Donghuang Baiji stood up and prepared to leave. Qin Yutong warned again. In the future, don't talk about it anymore. I don't like brother-in-law. The two women nodded their heads and left. Qingya, what should we do? Yutong doesn't like Yihua. What if Yihua were to fool around outside and bring another woman back? Donghuang Baiji was a bit anxious. Qingya was also rather vexed. Let's think of another way. We can only do this. After Qingya and Donghuang Baiji left, Yihua appeared in Qin Yutong's room. Seeing that brother-in-law suddenly appeared, Qin Yutong immediately ran over and hugged onto Yihua's waist. Brother-in-law, luckily I am smart, if not we would have definitely been discovered. They seem to be suspicious of us. Yihua said gravely. After asking me, they came to ask about his sister-in-law. It could be seen how suspicious they were. What should I do then? If I get discovered by them, wouldn't they definitely chop me into pieces? Qin Yutong expressed that she was shivering, and begged her brother-in-law to comfort her. Yihua patted onto his sister-in-law's head. You don't have to worry too much. No matter what, Qingya is still your big sister. Brother-in-law, if you kiss Yutong once, I will have the courage to do it. Qin Yutong pouted her small mouth and asked for a kiss. Yihua didn't appreciate Qin Yutong's words and knocked onto Qin Yutong's forehead. Brother-in-law, what are you doing? It hurts. What are you talking about? What did you say just now? Is my temper really that bad? Yihua had heard his sister-in-law's words, and he had simply said that he was completely useless. Sob, 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 I'm just spouting nonsense. Brother-in-law, don't be angry. If you say that again, I'll teach you a lesson. Yes, 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 I promise I won't say any more. Can we kiss now? Yihua had no choice but to give his sister-in-law a kiss. In the end, his sister-in-law's desire was not satisfied. Brother-in-law, come to the bed. Yutong will make you comfortable. Yihua swallowed his saliva. This kind of thing is addictive. Let's do it tomorrow. I will go back first now so that they won't come and check the room. In actuality, Yihua had never been worried or nervous about anything. Ever since he had a clandestine affair with his sister-in-law, these two emotions appeared. He discovered that these two emotions were very refreshing, and also very novel. Qin Yutong also knew about this, and she said faintly, then when will it be tomorrow? I will wait for brother-in-law. Yihua was very satisfied with his sister-in-law's attitude. I will come and look for you. All right, Yutong will wait for brother-in-law to come over then. Yihua pinched onto his sister-in-law's face, then disappeared from the room. Looking at her brother-in-law leaving, Qin Yutong had a bashful look on her face. Brother-in-law is so handsome. I like brother-in-law, however. If the two of them were to know that Qingya and Donghuang Baiji weren't joking around, would they be stupefied? Yihua returned to the children's palace. The two little fellows had already finished bathing, and were waiting for their father to come over and accompany them to sleep. Why aren't you two asleep yet? Looking at his two children, Yihua said with a light smile. Yi Yan said with a childish voice, Yener is waiting for Daddy. Ali is waiting too. Alright, after Daddy finishes bathing, Daddy will come over and accompany you two to sleep. Dong Huangli immediately urged. Daddy, hurry up and bathe. Little brother and I are still waiting to listen to a story. Alright. Right now, Yihua's relationship with the children was getting better and better. The two little fellows were no longer infatuated with their mother. Not long later, Yihua walked out of the bedroom while wearing his pajamas. After that, he laid on the bed and the two little fellows snuggled up to him. Daddy, hurry up and tell Yener a story. Yesterday, you told Yener about the story where the skeleton fought against the serpent men. Will the skeleton die? The serpent men are so powerful. Yi Yan said with a worried look on his face. Dong Huangli, who was at the side, said, That's right, the skeleton is so strong. I hope that he won't die. That's right, Yihua was telling his experiences to the children, from the beginning to the end. Even Qingya and Donghuang Baiji didn't know about this matter. But from the tone of the two little fellows, they were able to tell. Back then, Yihua was in a very dangerous situation. Yihua's strength wasn't something that he was born with, it was something that he had gone through many life and death battles. Yihua even named his story Legend of the Skeleton. Furthermore, he even wanted to publish his story into a book. The sales of his story should be pretty good. I might as well make a serial web novel. How a skeleton became unstoppable. While hugging onto the two children, Yihua said lightly, "Of course the skeleton won't die." No matter how dangerous it was, he persevered. Even if he had to clench his teeth, he still had to defeat opponents that were stronger than him and temper himself. Dong Huangli and Yi Yin listened very seriously. Just as Yihua was about to continue, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji suddenly walked into the bedroom. The three people who were on the bed immediately looked over. The two little fellows seemed to know what was going on, and they were tightly hugging onto their father's hand, not letting their mothers snatch their father away. Seeing that their husband and the two children were talking about something, Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji revealed a happy smile. "I didn't disturb your date, right?" Qingye said with a smile. Yi Yen pouted his small mouth. "Mommy, Daddy is about to reach the crucial part of the story. You two should quickly go back and rest." "That's right, Ali won't let Daddy go." Dong Huangli directly hugged onto her father's arm. This caused Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji to not know whether to laugh or cry. "From the looks of it, I am the bad woman who snatched away their man." Dong Huang Baiji looked at her daughter and said tenderly, "Ali, can you lend Daddy to Mommy for a night? Just for a night." Chapter 647. Although the two little guys were unwilling, they were still very obedient. Yi Yen pouted her small mouth and said, "Then I can only do it for one night, if not, Yener will cry. And I can only give my mother one night." Dong Huangli appeared to be even more serious. Dong Huangli seemed to be saying, "If you want to snatch my father away, Dong Huangli won't let you." Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji were truly helpless. "Just who gave birth to you two?" The two mothers also agreed with a smile. Only then did the two little fellows compromise, but their little mouths were almost covered with oil bottles. "Daddy, remember to come tomorrow. Yener will be waiting for you. Ali is also waiting for Daddy." The reminders of the two little fellows could still be heard ringing out in the room, causing Yihua to feel that it was funny. Looking at his wife who was beside him, Yihua asked curiously, "What's wrong?" "I suddenly came over." "Let's talk on the bed," Qingye said. Nowadays, even chatting has to go to bed. After quite a while, Yihua carried his two wives and laid on the comfortable big bed. Of course, he wouldn't do anything. Qingye and Dong Huang Baiji wanted to see what kind of attitude their husband had towards this matter. "Speak, what's the matter?" Yihua knew that they wouldn't come and look for him for no reason. Qingye lightly caressed onto her husband's chest and said earnestly, "Yihua, this time, I am serious, really. If I believe you, then I'll be a fool." "Qingye, if you still want to talk about Qing Yutong's matter, I will leave right now." Yihua shouted out gravely. "It's fine that you tricked me once, but now, you are doing it again." Seeing that their husband was angry, the two wives also cowered. However, Dong Huang Baiji asked, "Yihua, in actuality Yutong is quite a good person. When it is inconvenient for us, she can also take care of you. You all still don't know, right? Right now, Yutong is already taking care of me, and she is even more sensible than you all." "Enough," Yihua berated angrily. His acting skills are really good, scaring the two wives to the point that they are shivering and no longer mentioning about it anymore. Yihua discovered that his tone seemed to have gone a bit overboard, thus he consoled in a low voice, "Yutong is only my sister-in-law, don't think about other things anymore." Qingye said, "Yihua, we all know that, but we are afraid that you—" "What are you afraid of?" Yihua asked. Dong Huang Baiji made up her mind. "We are afraid that you will go out to look for other women, and then bring them back." The corner of Yihua's mouth twitched. They are actually thinking about such a thing. There must be something wrong with their brains, right? "You disappoint me. Let me ask you, is there a better woman than you in this world? Would I look for another woman? What a joke." Yihua snorted in disdain. Indeed, Qingye and Donghuang Baiji are the most beautiful women in the entire universe. They are beautiful from head to toe, and every single piece of their skin is of the golden ratio. Just one question. What other woman could be compared to her? Of course, other than his sister-in-law, Qing Yutong. When Qingye and Donghuang Baiji heard what Qingye said, they felt very happy in their hearts. To be able to obtain their husband's approval was an incomparable honor. Finally, Yihua let out a sigh of relief and dispelled their worries. If I were to get caught by my wife, I would be screwed. I, the Supreme Overlord, am about to place my face on the ground and rub it against my face. Having a clandestine affair with my sister-in-law, just thinking about it makes my blood boil. The more Yihua thought about it, the more he went off topic. The situation caused by Seoul leaving these few days was very strong, and even the Justice Alliance and Peace Association were unable to do anything about it. Furthermore, the internet was also filled with people scolding Seoul leaving these few days. Right now, it is about time to wrap things up. I, God raising heaven and earth, wanted to ruin Voidless Realm's reputation. And this time, I shall let the world see, without Voidless Realm. Who else can you seek help from? Prepare to pull in the net. Although you, God raising heaven and earth, won against me a few times, I, the Supreme Overlord, will immediately make a comeback. Let's see what else you can do then. Saturday, if it was any other day, it would be a good day for people to go out and play. However, in Nanyang City, there was not a single man to be seen on the streets. It was as if all the men had disappeared, and all the men were women. Today was also the first time that Justice Alliance and Peace Association cooperated together. They were preparing to capture Seoul leaving, and they couldn't continue to be so passive anymore. For this, the two organizations invited reporters over, seemingly wanting to use this capture operation to wash away the humiliation they suffered. The idea is rather good, but it's unknown if it will succeed or not. In this operation, Bai Cixin and Jiu Yi were only the commanders behind the scenes, and they didn't participate in the operation. The weakest of the people who participated in the operation were experts with 2 moons and above. There were even experts with 3 moons, and this time, their equipment was very good, and they even used ancient godly items. Moreover, there was a man hidden in the group, and that man was God raising heaven and earth. No one knew about this matter. God raising heaven and earth didn't want to be exposed, and thus he hid in the group, and took the opportunity to kill Seoul leaving, and this operation would be considered finished. This woman has brought too much negative influence to the two organizations, and this time, I must definitely get rid of her. I can't let this matter drag on any longer, otherwise, my plan will be ruined. At this time, Bai Cixin and Wang Debeo were sitting in the meeting room, giving orders, and of course, Jiu Yi was also there. Recently, Jiu Yi was also a bit puzzled. His masters actually seemed to have disappeared, and they didn't respond at all. He looked for them, but they didn't reply. This is really strange. Wife, what do you think God raising heaven and earth is planning to do this time? Sending so many people, isn't this completely courting death? Wang Debeo asked in a low voice. This time, the operation to capture Seoul leaving was proposed by God raising heaven and earth, and the people were also arranged according to God raising heaven and earth's arrangements. Even if these people were very powerful, they were only targeting a few people, and Seoul leaving definitely wouldn't be able to defeat them. Bai Cixin also didn't know what God raising heaven and earth meant, and she couldn't figure out God raising heaven and earth's plan at all. At the same time, she didn't want to guess who knew what it was for this time. To send a group of people to die, it was really chilling. We just need to do our job properly. Just as Bai Cixin finished speaking, the sound of tapping came from the side. Jiu Yi slapped the 8848 titanium phone in his hand, as if he was a little impatient. F***CK, it's actually broken. Jiu Yi looked at the phone and exclaimed, "And you said it wouldn't break? It's only been a while and it's already broken, this is too much." The husband and wife looked at Jiu Yi talking to himself, and shook their heads helplessly. A broken phone could make him so angry, it was really quite speechless. And today, Seoul leaving came out to kill men as usual. If someone observed carefully, Seoul leaving's eyes seemed to be warm, not as cold as before, and he was even wearing a headset in his ears. Little Seoul Hun, Pay attention to your expression. How does this look like you hate men? It's completely like you're in passion. Do Fusher said while holding a pair of binoculars. Soul Leaving said in a low voice, Little Dodo, we are in love, it's really comfortable. Chapter 648. You are the one who said it, I want all kinds of combo. Alright, any combo is fine, whatever you say. This is what I like, Dodo. Wait for me to finish killing, then we will go home. Do Fusher. I really hope that this mission will end soon, I really can't take it anymore. Just when he finished thinking, Wei Chang's voice transmission came over. Do Fusher. Uncle Wei, do you have any instructions? His honor is preparing to pull in the net, remind him. Wei Chang said gravely. Yes. After cutting off the connection with Wei Chang, Do Fusher became excited. This mission can finally end, Little Soul can no longer go and kill men. Little Do Fusher, what's going on? Soul Departing asked curiously. Little Soul, it's time to pull in the net, get ready. Really? I can finally stop and lie on the bed every day, I'm so excited. Do Fusher. It seems like stopping isn't a good thing. However, Do Fusher didn't know what his honor had planned. He only told me to inform Soul Depari to cooperate with him. Originally, Do Fusher was still wondering if he and Soul Depari were putting on a show, but it seems like that isn't the case. Yihua naturally had his own plans. If he wanted to change Voidless Realm's image, what he needed was a big scene. However, this big scene has nothing to do with me. It still needs Voidless Realm to make a move, only then will it be interesting. Soul Depari walked around the amusement park board, and from time to time, someone would scream and run away, wishing that they could grow another leg out of their body. Soul Depari yawned, seemingly a bit tired. He didn't sleep well last night. In actuality, until now, Soul Depari still didn't know why he was so infatuated with Do Fusher. In any case, as long as I see him, I want to get close to him. He is like a magnet, attracting me, making me unable to resist him, making me take the initiative. This is something that has never happened before. Although this matter is very strange and absurd, Soul Depari came to a conclusion, which made him happy. Humming a song, Soul Depari slowly walked around. When Do Fusher heard the voice that was transmitted into his ears, he couldn't do anything about it. Soul Depari was indeed obedient, she did all the housework, and even his clothes were washed by Soul Depari. However, other than one thing, he couldn't do anything about it. I believe that everyone should know what it is. This woman wants to get up. She wants to get up. She wants to get up. She wants to get up. Suddenly, Do Fusher felt an oppressive aura moving in his direction. Li Hun also sensed it and stopped in his tracks, looking up at the sky. A group of black dots appeared in the sky. It was very obvious. Boom boom boom. One by one, the figures landed on the ground, causing the bluestone on the ground to crack. A few helicopters were hovering in the sky, broadcasting live. At this moment, many people were probably watching the live broadcast. Right now he could only give it his all. He could not let a woman ruin his game of chess. Last time, Soul Leaving Killer wasn't able to display her true strength at all, because she was in a poisoned state right from the start. And right now Soul Leaving Killer was in her perfect state. Right now, even Qing Tiandi was worried if he would be a match for Soul Leaving Killer or not. Within Voidless Realm, Yihua was holding onto a tablet and looking at the live broadcast. A trace of a smile appeared on the corner of Yihua's mouth, while Qingye and Donghuang Baiji were leaning against each other. Yihua, will this plan work? Donghuang Baiji asked curiously. Yihua stretched out his hand and flicked the Empress's forehead. The Empress pouted her small mouth, expressing that she was not going to let Yihua off. Even I don't believe in her. Tell me, do you think that you deserve to be beaten or not? Yihua said faintly. Qingye looked at Soul Leaving Killer on the tablet and said lightly, this woman is very powerful. If Baiji doesn't make a move, it doesn't seem like it will work, right? Yihua laughed mysteriously. This caused Qingye and Donghuang Baiji to be very puzzled. Our husband would never do something that he wasn't confident in, and right now he is actually so relaxed. There can only be one result. Yihua, this soul-leaving killer can't be one of your people, right? Dong Huang Baiji asked in astonishment. Yihua said faintly. In the past, this soul-leaving killer wasn't, but right now she is more or less. What do you mean? Qingye asked curiously. Do Fusher. Yihua mentioned. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.